I hereby call this meeting to order. Hello and welcome to this meeting of the City of Ypsilanti Historic District Commission for August 12, 2025. This meeting is being held in the hybrid format with our individuals participating in person as well as remotely via either phone connection or the Zoom web-based conferencing application. The public will have the opportunity to provide comment during the public comment or audience participation sections of the meeting as identified in the agenda. To address the commission, remote participants will need to use the raise hand function to indicate they'd like to speak. Raise your hand while participating by the Zoom meeting, click the raise hand icon at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Participants connected in via phone connection would use, would press *9. If you're in person, raise your hand. Or after you raise your hand, you'll be informed when it is your turn to speak, and your microphone will be unmuted at that time. The microphone will be muted again when you have expressed your comments or when your speaking time has expired. All right, let's.
Just make sure you're speaking into the mic if possible.
It's closer when I'm speaking here. I don't know when you'll know that it's working, but I feel like I heard it in the room. Yeah. I think people can hear it. Yeah. Let's call roll. Alex Pettit, chair. That's me. I'm present. James Chestnut. Present. Stephen Sumner. Present. Anna Green.
Present.
John Van Bolt.
Present.
Chuck Bolton. Present. Okay. That is quorum. We have a draft agenda here. Carrie, is there anything that you're aware of that needs to be added to our agenda this evening?
Yes, I noted that, like today's meeting, there's been a change of availability in the location for alternative meeting locations. Originally, the Ypsilanti Senior Center was going to be available for the August, September, and December meetings when our meetings overlap in City Council and chambers aren't available. So I spoke with staff at Spark East, and they confirmed that there is availability for September and December to host meetings here. And so I am looking to amend the annual agenda for 2025 for those remaining meetings in September and December to be hosted here at Spark East.
Do I move to approve to accept that amendment?
Well, sure, yes, we can. I just wondering if there's anything else you wanted to add.
Yes, sorry, I should have said that's what I would add to the agenda rather than go into the more details. I'm not aware of anything else besides that.
Okay. So before we actually, if I could, just check with the audience to see if there's anything that needs to be added from a study item perspective. So now, is there anybody in attendance this evening that would like to be added as a study item that's not already on the agenda as a study item?
No raised. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have an agenda that is complete with amendments of so much.
I move to approve today's agenda with the amendments. How about that? Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, motion carries. All right, very good. First up then is public comment on agenda items. So the first session of public comment, if there's anybody in attendance evening that would like to comment on an agenda item other than one they're here to represent this evening, please raise your hand. That includes the online folks. Okay, good there. So moving to business, first up is old business. And first up there is 90 Maple. I guess Carrie, could you please give us the current review of this application?
So the commission has reviewed a potential finding of demolition by neglect for the building at 90 Maple, specifically the baggage building has seen significant deterioration. I have composed an outline that goes over, a simple timeline of events that have transpired since the city began to interact with the owners in a more significant way. The city has been communicating with owners for years in regards to some maintenance issues, but in August of 2024, the previous preservation planner, they observed bowing and holes in the roof of the baggage building, and they requested repairs. In November, Hopkins Burns, they provided a structural assessment of the buildings and noted the need for immediate stabilization. In January, there was a roof patch that was installed, but failed to adequately stop water infiltration. And then February, staff requested improved repairs for the roof and structural intervention. And then staff sent a notice to appear letter for the owner or owner's representation to come to the HGC meeting for potential finding of demolition by neglect. That was in May of 2025. In June, Owners Council had pulled a building permit for the temporary shoring based on plans that Hopkins Burns provided. So that was going to stabilize the baggage building. And they stated that plans would be completed and available for July's meeting. Sorry, for June's meeting, that's actually a typo, I believe. I apologize. And then at the meeting, Owners Council relayed to the commission that they were actually not going to be pursuing that temporary shoring because they found that the costs being put into that could be put into permanent stabilization plans. And so the commission postponed finding of demolition by neglect until the July meeting. And at the July meeting, the plans had not been completed yet and were promised to be completed by July 11th. And there was a lot of discussion about, if the plans being proposed were actually sufficient for repairing the structural issues with the baggage building, and some of that was unclear. There were questions kind of hanging in the air that Owners Council, who was present at the meeting, wasn't able to completely answer. We had some general information from the architect outside of the meeting that those plans would address the structural issues. So the commission did postpone a finding of demolition by neglect until this meeting in August. And in the motion, they requested plans, complete plans for the stabilization of the baggage building. Right after the meeting, staff was in communication with Owners Council, and they verified that the temporary, very, very temporary emergency repairs to stabilize, not stabilize, to waterproof the baggage building were being completed as they had indicated, and they said it was being installed. And then the next day, July 11th, Hopkins Burns did provide the report they promised. that is the report that's included in the packet tonight. And there was discussion about what complete plans are. Staff had tried to communicate with Owners Council and was trying to get an update on, the finished temporary emergency measures to waterproof the building. And didn't hear back, so I had gone to the site to see if there was any work being done on the property. I sent some emails requesting any updates and reminding, there were a few emails to Owners Council and then the architects, reminding them about the application process if they wish to actually put the plans that they submitted into implementation for the baggage building. Didn't receive any response. And so the day before this meeting, I received photos of the synthetic felt underlayment installed on the roof and the vegetation being cleared back. And so that is what has happened in a very, very brief summary up till this point. I did include a printout, which I have in front of all of you. There have been 2 more conversations relevant to this finding today. One of them was a phone conversation with Hopkins Burns this morning, and so on Tuesday, August 12, 2025, staff spoke with Hopkins Burns regarding the plan for the baggage building at 90 Maple. Staff asked if they were aware of any timeline to implement the July 11th plan submitted to the city. Hopkins Burns relayed that they had not heard from the Owners Council regarding implementation of the plan since its submission. Hopkins Burns also communicated that in response to staff's email reminder that the commission had asked that the project architect, Hopkins Burns, would be able to attend meetings in order to answer some of the commission's more technical questions. They were informed by the Owners Council that they would not need to attend. And then at the request of Mr. Border, who is the Property Owners Council, I forwarded the email, which I printed out for everyone here, and I'll read that. He said, and this was today, I am writing to advise that we've complied with all requests of the commission, including but not limited to removing all brush and beautifying the area, carving the roof, and providing stabilization plans on 2 occasions. To that end, I'm requesting that you forward this email to the commission at a request to withdraw the commission's action of demolition by neglect. As we have documented, the building is now in no danger of further erosion, and our team is moving forward to complete our vision for the property. I thank you for your help and support. So I have, there are just a few things that I'm hoping the commission keep in mind. There's obviously a lot more information that's been included in past packets, but the city's Code of Ordinances in Chapter 54, as well as in state law, defines demolition by neglect as neglect in maintaining, repairing, or securing a resource that results in deterioration of an external feature of the resource or the loss of structural integrity of the resource. Staff believes that the commission should consider this timeline of events to determine if proper timely measures have taken place to maintain, repair, and secure the buildings at 90 Maple. In addition to the timeline, the following should be considered. 1, that the current owner has owned the property for more than 2 decades. City staff communicated the need for emergency measures to be implemented in August of 2024. The permanent stabilization plans submitted on July 11th have not been submitted to the HDC for a permit. The next opportunity for the review of that application would be at September's meeting on the 9th, meaning that the work wouldn't be able to start until even after HDC approval, permit approval with the building department. And then temporary repairs were completed last minute despite ample time to complete the repairs and communications that repairs were happening on July 10th. And the owner's team has not responded to city's request for communication of a clear plan. So it's hard to, even with the plan submitted on July 11th, really understand there's no timeline, other than in the letter from the architect before receiving the July 11th plans that work would be done before winter, but in terms of an actionable timeline or specific methods for the repairs that they're discussing, I don't find the plan that was submitted to be actionable or implemented. So that is my review, and I'll turn it over to the commission.
Thank you. Is there anybody in attendance that would like to add additional comments, that represents the property that would like to add additional comments at this time?
Is this someone here for 90 Maple? Actually, I'm not sure if I'm. Let me just. I don't see.
I thought earlier when I looked up there that I saw Mr. Porter's name up there, but it's not there now.
No.
Okay. So a couple things that I wanted to just confirm. So in the packet, in the application here, you've included what looks like those July 11th plans. Those are the ones that have been submitted, resubmitted, whatever, as the plan of action for remediation, or rather stabilization, phase 1 stabilization for that building, right? Okay. And then you've included some other photos here. These were your staff photos, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's like 8 photos there. One of the photos, page 11, at least mine packet, that shows that, yeah, that structural work. Now, what can refresh my memory? How long has this stuff been there?
So this is actually, I believe Mr. Border included this photo in the photos he sent to me because they cleared vegetation in that area. I believe that has been there for a while. It's not in the air, well, it is obviously next to the building. It's on the east elevation. And I'm not.
That's what that looks like now. Okay, because it's gone
Yes.
through several phases, and I guess I've lost track, and it looked new to me, but
It has been, yeah.
Okay.
I personally don't know how long it's been there, but
That's
I
the-
checked.
Right, that's the Port Cochere area there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, okay. All right, thank you. And those photos also include, I see the felt underlayment stuff being having been applied. Okay. Well, I mean, okay, so we've got some effort being done to do some things that the building department point out to them. That includes removing the shrub, the overgrowth and things like that. We've got some membrane over the roof finally, but I see no substantial action taken in completing the planning or implementing, for that matter, anything that actually stabilizes the roof. We've put a Band-Aid on the bleeding while we still have a broken bone, and the Band-Aid will perhaps slow down further deterioration of the existing structure, but it does not do anything to fix what officials and inspectors have described as something that is in need of immediate stabilization. Yeah, and the whole idea of dismissing any sort of demolition by neglect motion, to me, any resource in the district at any time could come up for the possibility of demolition by neglect. And even if the commission were to vote on, or, take a vote on this and say, no, there's no demolition by neglect happening here right now, there's no reason why we couldn't have the same vote month after month after month after month, because that's how buildings work, they change. So the idea of wanting to dismiss something here in this last email from the applicant's attorney, it's, I don't know what meaning that even has, honestly. But that's sort of looking a little too far ahead. I think right in front of us, we just have to make a decision about whether what's happened to this point has compromised demolition for neglect, and if there's enough activity toward remediating that to take it off the table or not. And this is the same thing that the commission has been debating for months now. Has there been enough action being taken to be considered as sufficient to remediate the situation? And as hopeful as I've tried to be, and I think many of us have, it's just not there. But each commissioner will have their own thought on how this plays out. And if commissioners have comments, let's work our way around the room.
Okay, I have a question or observations. Calling attention to the staff's comments dated July 22nd, I'm quoting, "Staff reminds Owners Council that an application must be submitted for HDC approval at the August meeting if they wish to implement the permanent plans submitted on July 11th. End quote. No response. So as we sit here right now, up until the start of the meeting, has any application been submitted as far as you know? Okay. So in terms of an application that this commission could act on, we're exactly where we were a month ago and the month before that, as the chairman points out.
Correct.
Right. In the event that the commission took whatever action, and I confess I'm not 100% clear on this, and perhaps you could outline the procedure going forward. But if the commission sort of pressed the button to start the process, to say that nothing has been done to change the perceived, well, not just the perceived, but the report to this commission that the building is in danger of demolition by neglect. If that process is started, and let's say hypothetically the owner came in next week with an application, is the going forward process at that point, does it become unstoppable, or could the commission in fact say, okay, now we have an application, let's consider that?
So is your question, just to be clear, is your question if we can approve outside of a regular meeting?
No.
It's just.
No, actions taken at a meeting. What I'm saying is presumably the issue on the table right now, since there is no application, is does this commission recommend to the city that it take action consistent with the ordinance to declare this case of demolition by neglect, and that the city departments, building department, city attorney, etc., begin the process under the ordinance? So if we start that ball rolling tonight, and at the next meeting, if there's an application in front of us, can we say, aha, we have an application, it looks like it addresses the problem of the situation. Therefore, can we request that the various departments stop whatever action they're taking? Or does it take on a life of its own once we declare demolition, are we done no matter what happens?
At that point, the commission would determine a timeline, that's, or
No, go ahead.
would basically compel the owners to stabilize the building. With the plans approved by the HGC in a timeline that is, approved by the HGC.
So something I'm throwing real quick is, it doesn't go to the city, the building department, it remains with us to lay out those plans. And there's a wide range of options for actions that we can take if that determination is made. So we could lay out a schedule, let's say, we could lay out landmark, like particular activities that need to occur, a specific timeline for those activities. And compelling, even to the point of compelling actual workers sending people in to stabilize the building and that kind of thing. So there's a wide range. So it opens up a very large box of possibilities that HCC needs to manage. But it seems to me that there are guardrails there that need to be understood, guidelines that say, or how is it determined when and how is it determined that that is no longer the case, that this is no longer a state of demolition neglect. That part, I haven't found. So.
And I did, I have this pulled up for everyone to review.
Yeah. There's just a lot of leeway built into that. For better or for worse, it just means that it needs to be well defined, whatever the actions are that are laid out, or the plan that is laid out.
I'm going to make a comment here. I don't know how much time we really need to spend on this application. I think in my mind, it's demolition by neglect. It was that last month for me, as I was in May. I do want to put on the record that in response to this email, where the owner's council says they have complied with all requests of the commission, that is inaccurate because the meeting minutes from last month, under clarification of work plan, is that there's a specific request for a simple schedule, which has not yet been provided. And so with the preemptive email suggesting completion of all requested items from the commission, that has not been met. It's also referencing items that were not requested by the commission, which undermines the kind of validity of the email holistically. And in my mind, it's a simple demolition by neglect at this point because the owner or the applicant hasn't proven a willingness and a strategy to get the structural work done.
And I would add to Commissioner Chestnut's observation that in May, this board voted to ask for a stabilization plan that was presented in May to be implemented by June 10th. That work was not done. And there was no physical response to shoring up the building.
And for me, I feel very strongly that this building is in fact at risk of demolition by neglect, not just because it's at risk to the elements, and there are some severe structural issues that are present even with that underlayment on the roof that do not look like they're going to survive winter, but also that the property remains open to public parking, and that is in and of itself a dangerous building setting. and it is putting the public at risk.
And I should also add here that the applicant had come up with a plan at one point to simply stabilize the structure, decided that was too expensive to simply just do that, and might as well develop the building, which also would take care of the stabilization part. That's great. So in the meantime, nothing's been done. And in my mind, no matter which plan you take, or which plan of action, like if you don't want to develop it now, you just want to stabilize it, or you want to develop it now, the first thing you'd have to do when you go in there to make it safe for anyone working there is stabilize the roof. So no matter which way you look at this or how you want to address this property, the first step remains to stabilize the structure so that it's not in danger of imminent collapse for the safety of anyone who's working there or present anywhere. So there's been this evasion about this stabilization work, but it makes no sense to me anymore. It hasn't made sense to me, and now even more so. It just seems ridiculous at this point. I just wanted to also add now that as we go forward, I don't know what's best to add. Like if there's a motion to in the direction of finding for a state of demolition by neglect, if there should be any instruction or plan included in that motion as well, instructions for going forward to simply make that vote is helpful to a degree, but not toward the end goal, of course, of stabilizing the structure. So I don't know that we don't have a draft motion for this. I didn't notice.
I did not provide a draft motion, and to be quite honest, I had thought it would be as simple as making a finding, but that's a really good point.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So would a potential motion, just looking at this ordinance, would be a finding demolition by neglect, and then saying we are requiring the owner of the resource to repay all conditions contributing to demolition by neglect within a set timeline, ideally by the end of the year, right? If we're looking at roof stabilization.
Well, even before that, we need to put a firm deadline.
Yeah.
There has to be an application
Yeah.
by a date.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually would say, why not hold them to the stabilization plan they offered us in May? Their architects drew it up. They were confident in enough to submit it to this board. Do that.
I would like to say thank you to the building owners who actually finally put a tarp over the structure that is still sagging and still likely structurally damaged underneath it. I do feel that this building has been neglected for 30 years. You can see boarded up windows and doors. You can see bricks damaged and masonry missing. You can see paint chipping off of the woodwork, possibly lead paint causing further contamination to the soil and the existing area, and to the public who might go around picking up paint chips and putting them in their mouth or something. And this is just not. This is great that the building something has been done, but it's taking too long. And this building is neglected and it is slowly falling apart. And I would concur with a demolition by neglect. And I would like to see a timeline. I would like to see a building permit application in, just waiting for our approval. Whether it be this stabilization plan or a full-on retrofit of the building with crazy glass atrium additions and whatever to make it, an amazing modern building that also pays homage to the past. And I would like to see it done as soon as possible.
I'm not, I don't know that there's right now I'm having a hard time finding any value in giving any direction. The things we've requested so far, either council or owner has undermined it by saying the architect does not have to come to the meetings to represent in any way. They've also, it sounds like the architect has not heard from ownership regarding a schedule, which would come from a contractor. An architect could help with that. So right now, I think the broken link is the owner. They're the core of the problem. I think we just call it what it is, demolition by neglect, and then, I don't know, we just move on. That's, I don't, we're gonna put something out there, and based on recent history with this owner, the applicant, they're not doing anything with it.
One thing I would suggest is, I think some things should be provided, but I understand that it shouldn't necessarily be particularly detailed. I don't think much detail is warranted or necessary at this point, but what that does is, in the demolition by neglect, I'm sorry, I'm looking over your screen, it's just the easiest one to look at. There's a range of things, as I said, that could be done, right from like guiding them through, like, we need these timelines and we need this and that and the other thing, all the way up to, the decision that, the city needs to take ownership of this property. That's the range. And I would like them to decide what that is. And the way to do that is to provide some sort of, here's what we need. And then just have simple branching. If you meet this requirement, then we go this way. If you don't, well, then we go this way. And keep making those decisions, and that sort of decides where we are on that spectrum. Maybe it's just one thing, that needs to be included in there. And if that one thing is not included by the next meeting, then, now it branches this way. And then within a couple branches, we can, hopefully the structure will be the structure will be stabilized in one fashion or another as quickly as possible.
Let's kick out a couple ideas, because I think when it says neglect within a reasonable time set, now we're stating with the reasonable time set, not having drawn the scope of work. And so.
Right. So
now
now
our reasonable time might be much shorter than what it is, but let's put something out there. We can just start putting something together.
Well, what about starting with, looking at the notes? Staff was told that they would be able to implement permanent plans for permanent stabilization no later than July 11th. Well, I think the way they put it, we can't get to it until July 11th. Okay, fine. It was ready to go a few days before July 11th. What about saying, fine, you've got another 14 days from now. That would be the first deadline, or 10 days, or whatever. 14 days to submit the stabilization plan for permanent stabilization of the roof and structure.
Okay, that's
in the form of an application.
August 26th.
Because I'm, personally, if the architects had been here, I wouldn't really want to spend all night talking to the architects, because I'm not going to talk about a plan that's not embodied in an application.
August 26th would be, what are you saying, application?
Yes, an application that contains a detailed plan for stabilization of the structure, including the roof.
Plus the schedule.
Yes.
The 2 weeks is not important. Something that would get the application to us by the next meeting.
I think what you've started out is you've followed the timeline that staff has already started writing out, which makes sense. And it's a good history to be a starting point.
In the stabilization plan, this is something they've been working on. They've had some version of it since since May at least. This July one is the working one apparently. So if it seems like that could be ready to go very quickly. So a couple weeks time, at this point, this many months later, doesn't seem unreasonable.
And what if they don't submit?
Yeah, we can game that out now to some degree.
I guess I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to pretend like I am, but I am asking a clarifying question based on what the ordinance says. Because the way that it is written is we can do one of those three things, and number one is requiring the repair. Now, requesting an application by that point fall within that, or are we setting ourselves up for some legal troubles by?
Yeah. I think we request a timeline and they have to execute within that
Right.
date.
Yeah, the actual execution of the work
Right.
versus the application, that's what you're asking?
That's kind of what I just want to make sure that we're covering ourselves as a commission and as the city.
I think, yeah, that would be separate, that would be different from what we just talked about.
Right.
Because if we go down this line where we get an application on the 26th, then we have to know how long to get a building permit and all the next steps. If we just say this work needs to be done by X date, it's clean.
I would, if I may also add, there's a consideration that the application must be complete, permit fee must be paid. Usually for a project like this, there's back and forth. It also means that it must be approved at the September 9th meeting for it to be actionable. And so there needs to be communication up through the application process to ensure the plan is likely to be approved and actionable for the timeline to work out. That's just a note on staff's end.
I think November is a good month to have it work done by.
November.
I think we put November 1st as to have the work complete by that date. Because we should, there's a whole history that work should already be being done on the drawings and everything.
There's plenty of time in there, and there's 2 full meetings as well to work out whatever that can't be resolved with staff. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
I think it's that simple, is it? We write up, what do we call it? We take one of our statement includes, I'm gonna spit something out here and then I'll try to make it formal, and then unless commissioners want to adjust. The commission or this commissioner is confirming that this is demolition by neglect. We are electing to set forth option 1 of section 5485, indicating that all work in the May stabilization, the May stabilization documentation is complete by November 1st. So we need to reference some form of work, right?
That is a temporary stabilization. They've been substituted in January 11, what you call a permanent solution. If, I just want to make sure you know which one you're asking for.
I might just say permanent, I might just leave it permanent stabilization.
That's the July 11th.
Well, that
It's in here.
leaves it open also.
It leaves it open, it just says, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, honestly, I don't care which plan they submit. If it meets the criteria of stabilization, why does it matter to the boards or the commission?
I'm ready to throw something out there for the record if others are real sure.
Yeah.
Ready to hear something. This commissioner confirms that 90 Maple is in the condition of demolition by neglect and is setting forth option 1 of section 5485 to have all permanent repairs complete by November 1st, 2025.
A second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Unanimous. Motion carries.
I'm opposed, but only because of the language, and we never discussed between the motion and the vote, we never discussed any further qualifications or considerations. My hesitation has to do with, the motion is stated all permanent repairs, which is not really what the ordinance requires. The ordinance requires repair of the conditions contributing to demolition, which, as somebody pointed out, at this point, as far as taking it out of the demolition by neglect, it doesn't matter whether it's temporary, permanent, whatever. It's just taking it from demolition by neglect to stabilized and not in danger of demolition. So I would have voted for the motion if the language was that by such a date certain, the owner has submitted an application and commenced work to repair all conditions contributing to demolition by neglect.
I can rephrase.
Yeah, and in other words, and then we're saying that the rest of that section 1 talks reasonable time set by the commission. Well, we're setting it, and I agree with the time you set. That's fine. I just would use the language in the ordinance.
I just contradict myself, right? I referenced option 1 of section 5485, which would be that, and then I contradicted with the word permanent. So I will just cut it at option 1, or item number 1 of section 5485, and give it the timeline. Then the language there, I'm not reading.
That's fine.
Do we need to, Robert's rule, amend that motion then?
I think if someone who's on this would decide to bring it back up.
I move to amend the original motion.
I'll second.
And does the amendment need to be clarified? Or is that discussion sufficient clarification?
I think James should do the motion here.
Okay, I'll do the motion one more time. This commissioner confirms that 90 Maple is in the state of demolition by neglect and is moving forward with option 1 of section 5485 with the time set to November 1st, 2025.
Second.
Can I friendly amend one more time? I'm sorry. I think that we should be referencing section 5485 of the Ypsilanti Historic District Ordinance to be clear as to what we are citing.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
So to vote on the friendly amendment, we have an amendment, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries. With that all in mind, we have the second for the overall the overall motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Motion carries. Okay. All right, teamwork.
Dylan, are you online?
Yes, I'm
Okay, just want to make sure you have access to the speaker.
great.
This is for 15. Yes, okay. All right, well, next up is 15 West Michigan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not,
I'm sorry, I got the wrong.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're not gonna make you talk about 15 West Michigan.
Okay. I just want to make sure Nick is able to talk.
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, 15 West Michigan, if you could please give us the review of the application as it currently stands.
Yes, so, 15 West Michigan, this is Malu's. And they originally submitted an application for, for the July meeting, they submitted it, June 27th. And, at that meeting, it was postponed, for more information, specifically regarding, drawings and more details, about the sign and the mounting system. And so the proposed work is a retrofit of the current sign, that is currently mounted. And it will feature it'll be refaced with a new plexiglass embossed face with logo. And also they'll be replacing the lighting system as well as the mounting system. And then the materials, I won't go over that in detail, but essentially stainless steel hardware for the mounting system. And then they presented two options that the owner is okay with for lighting. I think lighting was one of the issues that the commission they were unclear on last time because the applicant had proposed that the sign be backlit, but that would mean the logo, which had a white background, it would be, light would be emitted from the entire background and not just the logo. So my review of the current application, they provided some drawings of the mounting system and more details on the two lighting options, which include, one is an internal LED but including a light blocking panel with a cutout of the logo behind the plexiglass face so that only the logo is illuminated. And then the other option is an externally mounted light. They're proposing that be mounted in the center of the sign on the top, and that there's 2-inch metal conduit running to that junction box, and then there would be 2 LED lights being cast down, stemming from that point at the junction box, and they would actually be extended in order to get the angle of those lights to illuminate the sign face. As staff, my concern with that option is both the design, that it does not fit within the design guidelines for the district. It's a little clunky. I think there could also be some issues with the proposed fixtures blocking the logo. And it's also unclear if it's even allowable per zoning because of potential issues with excessive being past the allowable foot candles reading at the property line. So personally, I believe that the option, even though backlit signs are not typically allowed in the district, that between the two options presented, as long as the light blocking panel would be cut out to exactly match the logo and only illuminate the logo, that would fit within the design guidelines of the Historic District Commission. And in terms of the mounting system, I do believe that the proposed mounting system, it's a lot more discreet. All of the hardware is painted black, that matches the rim of the sign. And I do believe that is a big improvement as to what is there currently. And I believe that with backlit option, this application could be approvable, citing the Secretary of the Interior Standards number 9 and number 10, as it does not destroy original material and is removable, and it also would improve the sign as it currently is.
Okay, great, thank you. I guess my comment on initially with the lighting was that I thought I liked the idea of the external light better, because I just wasn't sure about the extent of what's going to be lit on the sign. But I'm thinking now that the amount of extra light that would be thrown off it would probably be actually less in the internally lit sign. But also with the internal lit sign, there's all kinds of different brightnesses there that no one ever talks about. And I don't know how to control that. I don't know, like, if you have an exposed bulb shining on something, you can look at the value of its, however many lumens it's throwing out. That tells you something. There's no way to really understand that with an internally lit sign, but you could have a fairly dimly lit, internally lit sign. It would still be very clear at night. But anyway, I in the end, I think that your option, the way you laid it out with option 2, seemed to me, palatable or within the district, I guess. But is there any comment, I guess would the applicant or applicant representative would like to comment on anything this time?
It's option 1, the reflecting plate that would be put on the inside would make the sign look like a normal sign, just like it is right now, to keep the customer was very happy with that design. The reflector on the inside, we can also, if we're worried about it being too bright, I can actually install a dimmer on it so that we can make an adjustment if you feel it's too bright.
Having the ability to control that is always a good thing.
They're actually Bluetooth controlled, so you can actually control them from a phone. So they're very easy to adjust. If it comes down to the install and the board feels it's too bright, it can be simply toned down fairly quickly in a matter of seconds.
Right, we just give someone in the building department the app and we're all good, right?
From you, that's you control that, right? From your phone.
We teach the owner how to use them.
Oh, I see, got it. Yeah, okay. Anything else that you wanted to add at this time?
No, as far as, if you look at the structure support of the mounting system, you can see in the pictures of what currently is up there. It's a very thrown together L bracket that is not very structurally sound. We would be putting in, a 3-inch round support that would be run into the sign almost completely the entire way. It'll roughly run about 4.5 feet of the 5-foot length to strongly support it. We'd be putting in a 3-point crosswell bracket that would be welded into place. Make sure there's additional 2 lag bolts. We put them in with a specific to concrete and brick construction adhesive that expands to hold those bolts in place. I've held up 2,000-pound signs with those bolts. So that just for additional support. And then we would be bringing one down, as you can see. We bring a support down to the back side of that front wall for additional stability. And currently there is a mount on the roof that we would be, it's a large steel plate that's already there. We would be cleaning that up and welding directly to that. You can kind of see it in pictures, and I've spoken with Carrie about it, but right now there's about a 75-foot wire that's holding that sign up right now.
Right.
That was kind of I don't know who did that fix, but they did. So we're trying to eliminate all that and make it a nice, crisp, clean look. So it kind of blends in with the background.
Yeah, it should be an improvement. I think another thing that's good about the internal lit is that it's not exposed as much to the elements. Perhaps it'll even have a longer life, as opposed to these two separate light sources, one on either side of the sign, that are just, not that those lights aren't designed to be outside, but it just seems to make more sense if you have a controllable internal light that, can handle the job. Anyway, thank you. Anyway, Commissioner comments or motions?
I think if we had in our ordinance, signs that were, the material that the sign is made of would determine how it could be lit. Plexiglass sign, probably, as is there right now, currently externally lit from the sides. I think in this situation where this sign is at, I think I could support an internally lit sign as opposed to external. I mean, if it was one of those fancy wood signs with the gilts, the gold gilts around the edge and stuff, then that's another story.
Okay, I had 2 questions for the applicant. One is if it is internally lit, can the junction box that's on top of the sign be relocated off the sign?
The junction box would only be there if we were doing the top down lights. The junction box currently is on the back side of the light because that sign was previously internally lit, and at some point, instead of repairing it, they just put on the externally lit lights. So there's power up there, and we would actually just mount it to the back side of the sign so it wouldn't be seen from the road.
Okay, so the junction box would be in a discrete location if it's internally lit, and nothing another advantage to.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, the other question I had was, just to dial into this note, we would install internally lit blockers to only allow light through the sign around words and logos. Can you walk me through that a little bit? What I'm hearing there is what would get lit are words and logos, and to me, that's the red trapezoid with Malus, plus the 2 arches, the arch and the upside down arch, and then the negative space, other than that, is not lit. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes, you are. What we do is once the sign is during production, from the outside, it'll just have a white background, and then you'll see the words fried chicken, the logo, the Ypsilanti underneath. From the inside, we put on a reflective coating. It's actually almost like a vinyl on the inside. Good for 20, 25 years, but we take and do a reverse cutout of it so that light can only reflect through whatever we cut out, which we would cut out. I kind of drew it very, pardon my bad penmanship on it, but I kind of drew out roughly what we would do with the black lines around the fried chicken, the Ypsilanti, and then of course we would have it very tight around the logos, and we would have it very tight around the words. I just kind of left it a little bit so you could really see what we were going to be doing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
If you're making a motion, just include preferred light option, I guess. I don't know if it's any motion or not. Someone ready? Okay.
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for application PHDC 250054 for the retrofitting of current signage and installation of new mounting system at 15 West Michigan. The lighting shall be internal LED with 2 internal light blocking panels on each face, featuring cutouts to only allow light behind the logo and the words as presented in the application. The proposed work meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation. Number 9, contemporary design shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material. And standard number 10, new work shall be removable.
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries. All right, thanks so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I'll reach out to you soon with the letter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to 211 North Adams. There's somebody waiting for that fight.
Is this person here for 211 North Adams? Oh, yeah. That's. Tim, you should be unmuted. You there, Tim?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I just keep waiting for this to turn back. Yes, if you could please give us a staff review, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so 211 North Adams, they're proposing to install some intake soffit vents on the sides and rear of this home. They previously submitted an application for re-roof, which I was able to administratively approve, but because they wanted to complete the roof, the main portion of the roofing job earlier, they decided to submit a separate application for the soffit work. And so I do believe it's pretty straightforward. The home itself is non-contributing to the district due to extensive alterations. The work that he's proposing is, he's been careful to select the location of the soffit vents to try to place them towards the back of the property. But he actually provided a soffit vent, which I brought here for you all to see. So I'll just sing this here. But the soffit vents that are proposed match the white, painted underside of the soffits. And he's proposing 3 locations on the rear and 2 on each side of the home. And I believe that the work complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards number 9. Contemporary designs shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything, I guess, from the applicant side of things that you wanted to add at this time that wasn't already mentioned?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my wife's picture that keeps popping up there too. But no, we're just trying to keep respect the historical district and keep everything off the front of the house on the sides, but they still get proper ventilation. That'll match that bottom aluminum soffit.
Gotcha, understood. Okay. Commissioner comments, feedback, motions?
Does the house have ridge venting?
It does.
Does that, for the commissioners, does anybody think, not that we have to go this way, that just uniform venting all around the soffit is also a feasible approach if it's better for the longevity of the roof system. Because for me, leaving it off the front is a aesthetic.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to hear on my end, but the
I had a question to the commission to see if an option to put the vents on the eaves all the way around the house was something that they would consider if it was better for the longevity of the roof, in general terms. This commissioner would not be opposed to have soffit vents in a layout that makes more practical sense because it's looking out for the best interest of the structure.
That would be a great way to do it around the whole structure. Try to keep that front a bit clear.
So this commissioner would be okay with that.
I agree with that also.
Yeah, the roof wants more regular and consistent venting across the entire surface, so I don't think that's a particular issue here. I don't know if the commissioner's thoughts. Thoughts or motions?
Yeah, I think the application describes it only on 3 sides, right? So I can modify to leave that option open for the applicant. Move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for application PHDC 250060 for the installation of white aluminum soffit vents at 211 North Adams as described in the application, with the option for the applicant to lay out the vents in a more uniform fashion, including on the front face soffit to the benefit of the longevity of the roof. The proposed work meets Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation number 9. Contemporary design shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material.
I second it. Thank you for that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your sticking with us this evening.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, thank
Yes,
you. Appreciate it.
I'll reach out to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
For staff benefit, would it be fine with the commission if would be up to and including 8 vents instead of maximum of 7? In other words, 2 on each side, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Do we need to make that more? The application is for 7 total.
You're right. Okay. So
It would seem to me that a reasonable reading of what we just passed would be 8. 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 2 on each side. Just if that's, if everybody here is okay with that.
That looks to me, I think that is potentially a design decision, because that to me looks like more than an 8-vent eave condition in general, but.
I think we left it open enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
as long as you're fine with that.
yes. Yep.
And don't say, oh no, 7 to 7, whatever, however you think you can meet the requirement. Okay.
Thank you for that.
I will need to recuse myself from this next agenda item.
Okay. Thank you for making that announcement. So if you need to, that means you're doing it, right? I mean, so declaring yourself. People do that. Robert's rules. All right. Karen, if you give us a staff review, please.
Okay, so this application is for 411 North Huron. This is a contributing home within the historic district. The applicant is proposing roof-mounted solar panels and they're proposing them on the south roof elevation. The materials are simply solar panels and then the associated mounting hardware and with a flush mount system, as well as cabling, conduit, and then microinverters. I will scroll to the photos soon, but you'll be able to see that because of the home's height and also the very low profile, the low pitch of the roof, it's not easy to see the roof from the right of way on North Huron. In terms of the solar panels affecting any character defining features, while the roof itself is a important feature of the home, it does not obstruct it from, the panels don't obstruct how it's viewed from the right of way, with the exception of further down the street at an intersection, you can see the south elevation of the roof a little bit, but I found that because of the existing roofing that they have right now, the black color of the panels and the reflective qualities of the panels blend in well with their darker metal roof. And I do believe that the installation would be in accordance with the Secretary of Interior Standards number 10, which is that all new work will be removable, and that is all I have for my summary.
Thank you. Question to the applicant?
Let me, yeah, I need to, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you don't know, okay.
All right,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I gotta let Josh.
or you should be able to talk now, Josh.
Hi, good evening. So I think Carrie put most of the details into focus. Was there a question?
Yeah, one question, at least so far. How will these be, like, do these lay on the roof or do they?
Yeah,
Or,
the mounting, yeah, the mounting hardware, because it's a standing seam, kind of, it's a little grabber bracket. So it just fits under the standing seam, is torqued down, and then the panels would mount to a rail system that then mounts to the standing seam bracket. So there's no penetrations.
so they're at the same angle as the roof?
Yep. Yeah, there's no trying to match the latitude of the roof to the angle of the panel or anything like that. It would just lay in the plane of the roof.
Other commissioner questions? Questions or motions?
So I would move then to issue a certificate of appropriateness for application PHDC-25-0056 for the installation of the roof-mounted solar panels on the south elevation of the roof as presented in the application. Proposed work meets Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation. Number 2, do not destroy original character, do not remove or alter historic materials or features. Also, number 9, contemporary design shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material. And number 10, new work shall be removable.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you, Josh. I'll reach out to you with a letter soon.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night. Okay, quick, next up. 302 Oak, I know that Carrie may not be ready yet. Maybe I've
Is
seen.
this Barry?
No, it's not. So, yeah, you guys are. Actually, do we have somebody joining us this evening to talk about 302?
I know that the applicant indicated that he'd be joining virtually.
Okay.
I'm not,
That applicant fell asleep waiting, I wouldn't blame him.
just want to check one more time if this is 302. Oh,
Well, if they should be here, we can bring them in, but if you could give us the staff view, that would be great.
okay, so 3020, this permit application, they're also proposing a solar array. However, this one is ground supported, and it would be located in the backyard behind the outbuilding between the fence, and there is a fence that goes around the entire back portion of the property, as well as some screening with foliage. The materials they're proposing are 68 by 48 inch solar panels, seven of them in a row that would extend to 28 feet. They're proposing to use U-channel signposts installed in pairs in 2 rows, and then a rail system would be installed to those posts. There would be diagonal bracing, and then the arrays would be mounted on the rail system. Staff visited the site, and from the Oak Street right away, you cannot see the backyard at all. And also from Maple Court, you can't see into the side of the yard. So the location where they're proposing is essentially screened from public view, and applicant is working with Solar Ipsy on the project. Not exactly, the mounting of the array is modeled off of one that's installed at One Oakwood outside of the historic district, which I have seen in person. I included a photo of what that looks like installed. It would be essentially the same height, and they are just, I believe there's a 2-inch difference in the dimension of the panel, so very similar. That's a larger array, I think it's 12 panels. Compared to the historic district fact sheet on alternative energy, it specifies that panels should not destroy or wholly obscure character defining features, and I don't find that it has any effect on either the home or outbuilding at 302 Oak. I did want to, oh no, I already covered that. Okay, so I believe that the project as it's proposed does not have any effect on the resource or the surrounding district, and is compatible with the design guidelines and complies with the Secretary of the Interior standards, number 2, number 9, and number 10.
Thank you for that. I've seen the installation of One Oakwood as well. I saw when I went in, so I figured since what this thing looks like, it is very low profile, kind of like that. When you have the opportunity to put something on the ground, it is truly on the ground. It's not like mounted on a thing on the ground, so it's up in the air. It's just, it's not even the size of the fence that it's next to. So. Anyway, other commissioner comments or motions?
I would again move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for application DHBC 25-0061 for the installation of the ground mounted solar array in the rear yard as presented in the application. Roads work meets Secretary of Interior standards. Rehabilitation number 2, do not destroy visual character, do not remove all historic materials or features. Number 9, contemporary design shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material. And number 10, the new work shall be removable.
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, motion carries. West Michigan to 114 West Michigan. Anyone in attendance for 114 West Michigan?
Yes, I'm in attendance. Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's, I'll have Carrie give us the staff review of your application as soon as she scrolls to it.
Okay, there we are.
All right.
All right, so this application is for 114 West Michigan. They are proposing to mount a 18 by 24 inch aluminum composite sign on the rear of the building that it's on. It's next to the rear entrance, and the sign they're proposing will be mounted in the mortar joints of CMU standard CMU 8 by 16 blocks. The proposed work is removable, does not damage historic materials, and the applicant confirmed, that they would be installing the mortar joints. They provided some mock-ups that I would scroll to. And my only suggestion to the applicant was to include some sort of spacing, such as washers behind the sign, just to create a little bit of standoff. But again, where it's being mounted is not original material, so I don't have any other concerns with placement. And we also talked with the city planner, and they confirmed that because it's exactly 3 feet, the sign would need to pull a normal sign permit. But I do believe the work is compatible with the Secretary of the Interior's standards, number 2, number 9, and number 10.
Great, thank you. Now just checking in with the applicant, is there anything that you feel you should add at this time?
No, I don't think so. I think that summarizes it pretty well. The company Yarrow that I represent and that the sign would represent focuses on preservation of historic buildings and higher end remodel work, and our color palette and brand is very much a celebration of the Ypsilanti communities, and we worked with a marketing and branding agency to solidify that and to make sure that our brand really does honor and reflect the spirit of Ypsi. So I feel that the sign itself will be additive to the community in addition to being a sign that because this sign would be placed right where the tenants enter the building at the tenant entry.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Commissioner comments or motions?
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for application PHDC-25, thank you, 0064 for the installation of an aluminum composite sign mounted on the rear facade at 114 West Michigan. The proposed, with the inclusion of some sort of standoff from the building to ensure airflow. The proposed work meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation. Number 2, do not destroy original character. Do not remove or alter historic material or features. Number 9, contemporary design shall be compatible and shall not destroy significant original material. And number 10, new work shall be removable.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes, motion carries. Thank you for coming in and attending this evening.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Dylan. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, next up, 232 North River. Application, yeah, this isn't just a conversation.
Accuse myself. You recognize that number? Yes, yes, that's me. I'll go over here.
Is there, okay.
may have to share the microphone with Carrie if she gives the staff review.
Oh, yes.
Is there anyone okay, so I
I
wasn't
am
sure.
in attendance.
Okay, I understand. Got it. Let's see.
This better not be solar panels.
Foolish was that easy.
Yeah, you sure you don't want solar panels, I guess is my question. Instead.
Ready?
All right.
Okay, this application is for 232 North River. The applicant is proposing a reconfiguration of the rear addition, which is an apartment, or the roof for the rear addition. And currently it's a shed roof, and they're proposing that it be a front gable configuration, which matches the other addition adjacent to it. So the property is, okay, hold on. Sorry, finding my place here. Okay, so the addition is not original to the home, and it was constructed sometime between 1927 and 1950. The owner may be able to clarify that that's according to the recent resurvey. It is currently, even though it is altered, the structure is recommended as contributing to the local historic district. The proposed work will take place on the rear and won't be readily available from the North River right of way. You can see that rear addition just a little bit, but you can't really see the roof configuration. The materials that are being proposed are 3-tab gray architectural shingles that at this moment in time, they don't match the rest of the roofing, but the applicant has indicated that they're going to be re-roofing the rest of the structure to match what would be installed on this roof. And that would be happening within the year, or within roughly a year or the following year. Other than that, so the front gable, they are proposing to put a staggered cedar shake siding on that would be painted. They're also proposing to use aluminum K-style gutters and downspouts, PVC trim with the smooth side out, painted, so all the paint would match the rest of the house. And then they're also proposing a round gable and vent. I believe that the proposed materials are compatible with the district and with the home, even though I believe if this were being done on the original portion of the home, it may not be considered appropriate. However, because these additions are not original to the home, it helps to differentiate them from the original structure and fits in with the district and therefore compatible. And I believe that the work complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards number 3 to not imitate earlier styles. I do think that if you'd done something that mimicked what was done on the original structure, that could be confusing to dating the structure. And let's see. Yeah, there are some notes from the building department on the design that is submitted in this application, but it does not affect the exterior. It's just a note on changing the ridge board and from a 2x8 to 2x10 and the joists to 2x8s instead of 2x6s. And that is all I have for my review. I do believe it is approvable per the standards number 3 and number 9.
Thank you.
you feel compelled to add anything at this time, Mr. applicant?
Yeah, this is definitely a old porch built in the 30s that's been leaking and it costs $10,000 just to put a new rubber roof on every 5 to 10 years. So I would rather spend the money now on getting something that is less likely to leak and will be able to be reshingled with the rest of the roofs at the same time after this round. Also the pitch of the rear addition is going to be different than the pitches of the other 2 sections of the house. Actually, the middle section is the original section built in the 1840s. Middle section was, the front section, the 2-story, was moved there in 1855 or so. So.
Speaking of pitches, what are they?
I don't. Oh, the new pitch will be like a 1-3. Because it's a 4 foot up over 12 feet. And then the other pitches are 6 feet up and 12 feet long, so it's a 1-2.
Okay.
Slightly longer press. So that kind of works. There you go. Other comments, questions, motions?
Is the shape, the shape throws me off a little bit, in general terms. I know they're trying to differentiate, but you have clapboard everywhere, and then this one little triangle is gonna have the cedar shape in it.
Correct.
Is that a differentiating thing, or is that too differentiating?
It's to try to differentiate and try to use up the shake I have. The basement.
It's one of those two.
I thought it would look kind of cool. I also thought about proposing two circular
It's right here,
vents
the
and
Secretary of
eyeball
Interior Standards.
design, but I thought I'd just go with one.
Use the thing I got.
Shape.
Gotcha. I mean, that's the one thing to me that, just let me restate. I think the changing roof slope would differentiate enough. That's where I'll leave that one at.
So so theoretically, if I went ahead and proposed just regular clapboard siding, recommended it as I'm getting into it, that is a possibility.
For this commissioner, it would be a possibility. Well, and what was interesting to me is that you said that center part was the original, which I wouldn't have thought just by looking at it. So differentiating the roof pitch, I think, makes sense there, rather than trying to carry that pitch through. It's the shape that jumps out. When it's all said and done, will the shape draw your attention because it's so differentiated, more so than the rest of it?
I'm a visual guy, I need to see it. It's not a lot of space either, no, for what it's worth. Is it 4 on 12? Yes. Less than 50 square feet, right? Correct. Because you got 50 square foot bundle of shingles. Further questions or motions?
Well, get the ball rolling.
Double check that our input is still good and that our participants are still here. Looks like yes. Okay, let's see. Josh is checking to make sure that audio is good on the recording side. Let me just double check.
All right.
Really quick. Good, okay. We are good. Sorry about that, everyone.
All right. Moving out of the business section of the meeting and moving into study. Am I doing this right? Yes. 14 East Cross, is that what we're about to talk about?
I had just one clarifying question because I stepped away. If the past motion was read per the draft.
Was.
Okay, just wanted to make sure because I don't think it was recorded. So I just want to make sure that that's, whatever's drafted in the staff review is what was approved unanimously.
Yes. It was verbatim from the staff.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, so now we're moving on to 14 East Cross, our first study item of the evening. We have folks here to represent 14 East Cross study item. Hello. Back. Thank you. Once you reach the mic that you're at, please state your name for the record.
My name is Kevin Adkins. I'm the architect for the project.
Great, thank you. Is there any information you'd like to share with us, Carrie, or should we just go straight to?
I can.
Okay, well, if you think it's useful or helpful, please do.
I will probably explain it better than I
Yeah,
did.
okay,
I
let's do
just
that.
have what I summarized here.
Yeah, please tell us what we're studying this evening.
We are looking at the proposed addition of proposed addition on the rear of a house at 410 East Cross. The existing house in totality of both floors is just a hair over 1,000 square feet. It has one functional bedroom and one which is very, very small, which is considered a bedroom, also on the second floor. And a kitchen that is quite tiny with a bathroom off of it on the main floor. It functions as a kitchen, but it's really small and tight. So the clients were considering a move to a larger house that better suits their current needs. And then we started talking about the possibility of an addition. So we're here with a proposed initial concept plan to discuss. And then we'll move forward from there.
Great.
So there was some conversation with Carrie initially about the rear porch that's on the screen and whether or not that's an existing or an original rear porch. I don't think we've quite been able to determine that. We know from the fascia down is all new. Standard 4x4 posts. The floor framing is misaligned with the original footings. So we believe from the fascia down is definitely new. The fascia and the roof, we're not sure. The house has been resided with an asbestos siding that covers all the joints and where the roof connects to the house. So we haven't been able to see those connections. So part of the design proposal does include removing that porch. So certainly a topic of discussion.
Is it true that the new side porch is sort of the same size, roughly, and similar?
That was the idea. I don't know if a contractor would be talented enough to remove and save that, but the idea was that That's the idea, is to kind of save that roof and move it around the corner to where the new primary entry to the house would be for the client.
And where that new entry would be, is there an opening in the side of the house right now with it? Is there a window or something there or no? Is there?
There's not, no. There's a bathroom actually along that entire wall. But it's actually part of the bathroom in that spot.
Gotcha, yes, that's right. I just wondered, all the windows at the other end of the bath, okay, never mind. And that window would remain, actually, it looks like.
Correct, yeah, where the tub is shown on the.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're adding another.
Yeah, that's the existing.
Opening there, the other end, so the bathroom footprint area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've kept the roofs no higher than the existing roofs. We have the hyphen in between the new and the old, which is tucked in at each corner. So the main corners of the rear of the house are maintained. The existing fascia is maintained. The hyphen steps all that down, and then after 7 feet of the hyphen, the addition starts again at the same proportion as the existing house. So the height is the same, the width is the same, the fascia line is the same. And then it extends back to about the front of the existing garage. And then there's about another 128 feet back to the rear lot line from there. It's a really deep lot. It's 221 feet deep.
So you definitely have the space to go that way.
Yeah, yeah. So we're within the width of the original house. We don't stick out side to side, with the exception of the porch. And we're under the height, or matching the height. From the front of the house, you really don't see anything new except for the porch. There is a one-story portion on the side of the house now, but it was a 1921 addition, a one-story portion on the east side of the house. That's part of it there, yeah.
So did I understand you correctly? Are you actually looking to reuse that roof around the corner on the relocated porch?
I don't know if that's possible. We'd love it if it is.
Well, I find that's a perfect example of the irony of the Department of Interior standards. You can be lauded with those standards for using the old materials, and you can be castigated with those standards for confusing people as to what the historic entrance was. It's both, they're both in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah. So if it were to be reused, it would be coming off of the original house. I'd like I was gonna talk a little bit about the hyphen. Where did that term come up in your design thinking of the?
What term?
The term actually came from Carrie.
Okay.
And reading her write-up about it. I had never called it that before, but I like it. So it's a new bit of the addition beyond the existing, that's smaller in scale in both width and height. And then the addition steps back up to the same proportion as the existing house. So both the smaller portion on the screen on top and the part to the right are both new. So it helps maintain the original corners of the house, the original fascia.
Right, so because I think for this commissioner, what I'm really interested in hearing with bigger projects like this or new infill is what was the design sensibility or sensitivity, the design thinking in the process. And the hyphen, when I was looking at this before today's meeting, I was calling it in my mind the knuckle. It's a good transition point between the new and the old. The idea that you could potentially take a porch that exists and attach it back to the existing. Maybe the hyphen is a interesting design move that I appreciate because it shows design thinking that we don't always see in the district. So I felt like the knuckle or the hyphen was a strong.
Nailed on the chimney for that.
Strong move. Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Knuckles and hyphens.
Yeah. I like the term hyphen too, not what I heard.
There's no issue with, I don't, code when you're expanding the building and how much new space you're adding compared to the original mass of the original structure, square footage wise, how much you're adding, what is that? You know what I'm talking about?
Zoning wise?
Yeah.
Historically speaking.
Well, from our perspective, there is an issue, there is some concern about the mass of the building and what you're adding to it, but I was wondering if you know that this is already compliance with like code, let's say.
As far as I understand, we're well within for zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, the lot is huge.
Well-
It gives us a lot of lot coverage but from historically speaking, of new
Right.
space in addition to existing historic space.
I mean, code is very specific that way. The historic district related stuff is not nearly as codified in that manner.
I believe we're safe.
Yeah,
in that regard.
And the garage is new, correct?
It wasn't on the Sanborn map, but it's far from new. So it's somewhere
Okay.
in between.
Newer than 1927.
Yeah, it's far from new, yeah. I don't think, we don't have a photo of that, do we?
Of the garage.
Yeah. Sure to include that next time. Oh, maybe.
Is it a glimpse of?
Yeah, there it is, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, is that fine? Oh, sliding?
Yeah, it's a great garage.
Cool. That's nice. Feel a lot of knuckles and knives in there.
So we're curious about thoughts on the porch. In this design, we would have a side entry, so some side of the porch would be nice. That will be the primary entry for the users. They do use the rear entry now as the primary. Materiality, the existing house has that asbestos siding on it. We'd love to, at some point as part of the project, re-side the house. Well, pull that off initially and see what's underneath it. But if it's, assuming it's covered for a reason, and needs complete repair, doing natural wood lap siding for paint. And then similar for the addition. Unless you happen to have any extra siding laying around, they could use.
Yeah. I'll have a couple of square feet left over.
Any windows or anything?
Yeah, it looks like that casing's pretty buried. There might be some insulation behind the asbestos. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't know what you're gonna find, I guess. It could be covered up just because they got tired of painting it, or it could be covered up because it was a wreck. And sometimes the stuff they put on turns into a wreck. Sometimes it preserves it. Maybe interesting to see.
Yeah, and they love the house. Been there over 20 years. If it's preservable, they'd love to preserve it.
I think that could be a good thing for the house to see what's back there. So, what would you? I'm sorry. What did you say you would consider them for the addition in terms of siding?
I think a similar simple wood lap siding, and then maybe a discussion of a slightly different tone of color to separate you from old, or maybe just the knuckle plate in one color and then the other two masses. Open for discussion on that. It's a very simple, it's white with green trim now. So I think we want to keep it something simple, nothing too colorful.
I think the shape does a lot to differentiate. I don't know that you need to go too crazy with siding change or color change. I don't know, maybe other commissioners have thoughts on that, but I think the shape and the massing that you've done there makes a difference.
I am wrestling with the west elevation. There are apparently 3 existing windows there. And then when you move the entry around, it really does start to be a bit crowded. What are those 3 windows with? One's on a stairwell.
The one immediately to the left of the porch is to the existing bathroom, and that'll be a remodeled bathroom. The one just to the left of that, a little higher, is the stairwell. And then a higher one yet is current bedroom, future bathroom, and would be the only window for that room.
So that one has to meet egress.
Well, it will become a bathroom, so it won't need to be egress and that.
I'm
It's
sorry.
a current bedroom.
Current bedroom.
So it'll
So
become
that
that.
won't be
Yeah.
egress.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if those 3 windows are original or not, but this commissioner would prefer a cleaner elevation to existing windows. Just because they exist as you reconfigure it, that cluster looks kind of rough to me. Also, there's a built-in door on that elevation. And your drawings call out basements that are how deep? What's going on there?
So the other client is a very tall gentleman, and he likes to do woodworking, and he would love to have a wood shop in his new basement. The existing basement stairs are nowhere near code and are extremely steep with no rod height. Hence the built-in door to get to the new space to be able to move materials in and out, and the laundry is down there now, so moving things. But yeah, we're proposing a very deep basement, which will never be seen by anyone.
Just trying to understand, but there is obviously, so you're not connecting the old basement to the new basement?
We'll have
Stairs down.
a landing and stairs down into the new space.
What is the basement, the old basement's foundation? Rubble?
It's very, very thick. Yeah, it's stone.
Right.
Yeah, that's been part inside and out. Or
Obviously,
only inside. Sorry.
technically speaking, I would be careful because the deeper basement starts to undermine metal stone foundation.
Okay.
So that, from a preservation point of view, would be on my mind. But I think I'll leave it at that. Technically, one thing to another with those old stone foundations.
Yeah, appreciate that, yeah. So currently, there is a Gilco, not Gilco, but an old wood door on the back foundation with a door. So that door would be the door that leads to the new basement. So at least we don't have to cut any door. Understood that.
Right.
Deep basements. We might actually step back. I'm thinking we're going to actually step it back up. We usually step it down the footings, but in this case, step back up to the existing footing.
Other, more additional feedback from commissioners, thoughts?
The two-story portion and then the one-story portion of the addition is going to this elevation. All the way to the left, which is the dining portion of the kitchen. Again, to try to reduce scale, not quite mimic the former 1921 addition, but keep the scale similar. It was also just a much better rear proportion. We initially made that entire width 2-story and up, and it was looking very suburban proportionally. Instead of making it narrower and without a lot.
Gotcha.
So, spitball here, if you change program from bedroom to bathroom, are you gonna have to touch that window anyways for temporary? So you'll have to replace the glass, the tempered glass for the bathroom anyways, maybe? So I'm just thinking, I mean, unlike Commissioner Boltman, I am less concerned about the disorganized nature of the existing windows and elevation, and then the organized nature of the new. It's another point of distinction. But it also just brought up the thought that you may have to touch the bathroom window anyways. I don't know if you can grandfather in an existing window and not have tempered glass.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
If I may. I recently had a discussion with our building department manager about this for another house because they're looking at remodeling a bathroom but keeping the window. He is okay with approving a security screen being installed by a reputable glass company, to be able to preserve original glass. In this case, it's for this other house, it actually has a texture, and so we were concerned with replacing the glass. So I did just have a recent conversation that is something he'd be willing to work with, in terms of code, instead of having a tempered glass replacement. And keeping the original,
There is also a film that you can put on
Yeah.
glass.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about with the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard it called a screen, okay.
Or, actually, I think you're right, I think it is a security film.
I don't know this, and I don't know how well it adheres to textured glass.
That's the issue we're having right now, so we're looking
I've
into
used it numerous times, but it's always on.
Right.
glass.
Like the Mylar film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in order to clean up that elevation, if you could scroll back to the west, the other direction a little bit. I think it's the one that's in the back, the first floor window that's really crowding.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, here,
The one right
okay.
next to the porch, which is in the existing bathroom and staying in the bathroom. That's the one that looks the most crowded, where the one above has the nice proportion of the 3 windows and then the new door, which is currently in a bedroom going in the bathroom. So possibly the removal of the window in the existing first floor bathroom. Yeah.
Not to, the one other thing, the hyphen was reading so strong for me, and I think I agree with, Commissioner Pettit that with the form changing the hyphen, maybe you don't have to work so hard about changing materiality, or color on the 2 bigger forms, but the one thing that, if the windows start becoming a design challenge, is if the hyphen took on the entry as well, which may not work at all via design, then programmatically, it would also find itself in a place that is a transition place. The hyphen owns all the transition into the house, and then you move into old and new from there. That could turn into a strength, but it might also not be viable with the design.
It was in an early design scheme. We talked about that some. That's a great point, because I wasn't sure of the thought, if we were somehow magically to be able to reuse that porch roof, it wouldn't fit, it would get crammed in there, which is why we kind of bailed and moved it out where it's more prominent. But I guess if the entrance could go in the hyphen, we're really kind of talking a whole new porch at that point.
And it would make sense.
Yeah, okay.
Logically, and it only comes to mind because of the question about windows. Right, if you're struggling with original windows, I hold a different opinion than Commissioner Bolton. I would want them to stay in their original form on that facade. And then I would try to work around it, thinking about the Secretary of Interior standards as well, not just from the design.
Okay.
It could be just how they represent on the drawing, but are the new windows roughly, or are they the same size as the companion windows in the old facade there?
They're a bit smaller.
They look a little smaller.
Yeah, the first floor windows that you're seeing here on the addition are above counter height, so the sill has to be a bit higher. And then if you go to the section, the actual break point of the ceiling in the addition is only at about 6 feet. So the ceiling is quite low to be able to get that eave down. We've already stepped the first floor down 1 step to try to get a little more ceiling height. So the head is quite low there, so it only has so much room to the floor. So that's why both the windows are a bit squat. Yeah.
Okay.
The original house has a higher break point because the joists are much, much thinner than what we can do now. The rafters, I mean.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we may have to get even thicker with the new energy code this month. Yeah. The R60 somehow. How to do that yet.
Is it just at the heel that's driving that? The heel of the rafter, right at the top plate?
That's driving the break point?
Yeah, even the step down and everything.
Yeah, if you go to a section. Yeah, so That's in the hyphen, so the break point is about 5'4" there, only 8'7" at the peak. And then a little bit further down is the addition. So you see 6'1" at the break point at the heel. And that's assuming all closed cell foam, no venting to get to RW. Yeah. So it's tight. Yeah. So hence the low head height and the low sill height and smaller windows.
Gotcha.
They tried to skinny them up a bit to keep similar proportion.
Yeah, no, I noticed it and I thought, okay, it's good that they're consistent and maybe that's another defining or distinctive distinctive thing in the new construction versus the old. Are the existing windows also 1/1?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that would come up that would be, even with the design as kind of
Mm-hmm.
sketched out here, that would be problematic in one line.
Yeah.
There's a deck to the east too, I haven't talked about. I don't know if that's of any. In that court, kind of the courtyard.
Oh, yeah, the deck on the other side, the west.
Yep, a few stairs down to the back here. Kind of tucked in nicely between little courtyard.
It's funny, it looked smaller on the elevation than it does on the plan. I don't know why. Yeah, it's weird. It's an illusion. Yeah, no, it's a nice spot there, it looks like too. Is that right? So that's right near the property line, right?
It's, yeah, about 5 feet off.
5 feet off,
Yeah. We think that existing east wall is about 5 feet off.
Oh, right, that lines up with the existing wall there, yeah. And that's just like a sliding glass wall there that goes out to it. Sort of.
Yeah, it's not a
right
swinging door because it's, if you leave the door open, you have a door hanging out in the hall. Yeah.
Can't have that in the height. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know that that's a problem. The deck will be wood, it looks like you're saying there?
Yep. They like the natural wood.
And you're familiar with the guidelines for all this stuff too, I mean, yeah, there's like, you have to have, a lattice or, flexible on the bottom and cantilever on the top and all that stuff. As the design gets further.
The lattice, is it required, the lattice? Or can it be open?
Skirting of some kind.
Skirting of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be, doesn't have to be lattice, right, but
Yeah.
some sort of skirting.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a rack situation in town, so you want to do hardware cloth down.
Yeah, down and out, yeah. Sometimes when a deck's high enough off the ground, I grapple and I just leave it open. So animals feel less secure once they're in there. But if with the Secretariat too, we do the screening down about 2 feet into the ground and about 18 inches out
Oh,
into the
geez.
yard.
Yeah, that definitely would do that.
That'll make them angry.
We've got the most critters in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And then that back, okay, that's the kitchen window back now?
Yeah, the dining nook.
Oh, the dining nook,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the kitchen. Yeah. And being the low break point, that's a nice headboard wall against that, so it didn't try to squeeze in any windows above that roof.
Yeah, I'm not seeing potential other pitfalls here or anything. I think this is coming together pretty well.
I guess that question, foundation material with it being that the existing house has a stone, difficult and expensive to replicate, we're thinking a parched. Cross my arms. A parched block or concrete for paint.
Parch coat or something, I think.
Yeah, that's, sounds okay. Okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't want you to imitate something. Okay. Yeah. Anything else for now, at least, or?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you know where to come if you have more questions.
Yeah.
You don't have to, the next step doesn't have to be application. If there's other things to study. We're here.
That's a great idea. I think as we get further into materials and such,
Mhm.
another conversation will be helpful.
Yep, sounds good.
Great. All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks. Thanks for coming out. Thanks.
All right. 422 North Hamilton. Is there anybody joining us for that discussion that you're aware
Yes.
of? Okay.
Hi, Kareem.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Alrighty, so appreciate you guys having us today. However, our builder was supposed to be present. William was not able to join the meeting. I am pulling up this email that we received from him not too long ago. Just give me 1 second. I apologize.
In the meantime,
So originally, I was hoping to present a little bit more about what the architect had drawn up and ready to be stamped in order for us to present it. However, he said that the architect is off this week on vacation and they'll get it started by Monday. He did want me to inform everyone that we do have this, that they have this as their top priority and will be getting this done as soon as possible. We have been in communication with historic districts. You know, we've been more speaking with Carrie, and Carrie, I want to thank you for your time and efforts working with us, of course. But however, I do have one question. As I was looking through the photos, it was more so towards the 4-panel doors. So looking at them, I just wanted to ask, is this, are we looking to have the building erected with the same panels, like the same design, same styles?
so we've got an evolution of photos, or evolution of the building over time in photos. And these 4-panel doors go back to, that was 87. And the most recent photos still reflect that design component?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we not sure? Or is it?
This is a more recent.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
It got
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
That was in 2001. This
Yep.
was 2024.
Yeah.
There, we do have more pictures, but.
Right.
Would it more depend on what you plan to do with this building? Are you planning to use it as a garage? Are you gonna convert it into a dwelling structure?
We're just planning to rebuild it as the garage, same way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I could see that if it was gonna be a dwelling structure, if somebody were to, 20 years ago, come and say, I have this garage, I wanna convert it into a dwelling, and I wanna get rid of the garage doors and do this, and add windows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That would, something I would think we would consider. But
Well, and this is, certainly one of the elements to consider, but I would say you've got a bit of an opportunity here to recreate the structure in a way that, you tell a story about how what you're doing is a recreation of what's there. And if that means replicating that detail exactly, or if it means you've got a good reason to do something slightly different, I think we'd open to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, truthfully, yeah, we're just looking to keep the building the way it was from before, just to kind of keep on matching with the historic expectations, I believe, for lack of a better word. So really, that's what we're talking about.
I'm not sure you can answer this, but do you know if the building is in its previous location and in its previous form, if it was conforming or not?
I'm not sure if I would be able to, truthfully.
I believe.
Visually, it appears like it's in the setback. But I
Josh
don't
is here.
to do the research. Is
I don't see
is that documented?
I can ask Josh. I'm not sure.
So your question is about where on the property the building is located?
I'm talking about conformance, not where on the property. Where on the property is part of conformance as its height.
There's an
And
alley,
use.
I think there's an alley that goes by through there.
We have a planning question. Planning question.
So can they rebuild
Pardon
that? So can they even, are they permitted to even rebuild that is your question?
No, I know the conformance zone, the non-conformance code. And I can tell you my interpretation, I'm not the zoning administrator, but the non-conformance code allows it to be rebuilt, but it does not, for example, allow what Stefan said, that its use can't be changed. So one domino falls and then all the others fall. So the question is there documentation on the structure as to its conformance?
I don't have documentation on whether or not the structure is conforming. What I do know is that, it's classified as a detached accessory structure and it's located along an alley. And so you have a minimum of a 1 foot setback, a rear yard setback when you're against an alley. I know it meets side yard requirements, it meets front yard setback requirements. The height requirements, it can not be more than 15 feet in height. However, the height is measured at the midpoint of the gable, and if the HDC requires it to be rebuilt, then it can be rebuilt as is. So.
But if it's non-conforming, it can't be intensified its use.
No, you can.
You can intensify the use.
You're not intensifying the use if you rebuild the structure.
As a carriage house.
If you rebuild it.
You missed a part of the conversation.
I was wondering if they were planning to rebuild it as a dwelling,
Yeah, they could do that. An accessory dwelling unit is a conforming use, it's an accessory use in that zoning district, and so that is permitted. That does not increase the intensity of a nonconformity. The structure itself, it may be nonconforming. I don't have official documentation of that, but at the end of the day, a building, a lot of our buildings in the city are deemed as non-conforming. The structures themselves are non-conforming, but that does not mean that we do not allow people to occupy those spaces with different uses. The ordinance is very friendly towards allowing adaptive reuse.
Okay, well, so our interest in that is simply, well, thank you, yes, is just so that as they're rebuilding the structure, they have a purpose in mind, I suppose, or that they have a range of purposes that they could rebuild it for. I personally don't care. I don't think the commission should care what they're doing with the building necessarily. But for the purpose of trying to recreate what's there, if code prevents them, then we would want to know that, of course, but it sounds like we've got leeway to do that. Or there's leeway in the code to do that.
Yeah, and I think everybody, in this commission, we're talking about recreating what's there, but what the applicant was also asking about was, do they need 2 doors? And we're not gonna tell them if they need 2 doors, that's a design decision. Maybe 2 doors that were there don't fit a large car like they do today, and it's gonna be 1 door. These are design that the applicant moves forward with. And when this commissioner was reviewing this originally, what compelled this commissioner to have something go back in place was just something to occupy space that wasn't going to turn into a parking lot. So for it to be built back exactly like it is
in some version previously is not critical to this commissioner. So I think we can't really help the applicant with design decisions at this point. We really would need to see the architect's first pass.
Okay.
Carrie, can I ask a clarifying question? Was, prior to demolition, was this being considered in the district resurvey? Do we know that? If that's not an easily answerable.
Interesting.
That's a great question.
The reason that I'm asking is because this is stated in the survey sheets from the 80s as vernacular architecture, which I know from reviewing the historic district surveys in the past, it showing little to minor alterations to it would have been a contributing structure for that vernacular style. And so I'm wondering from a historic district perspective, if that changes our assessment on how it is rebuilt.
Technically, no. I just pulled up the recent, this is still a technically draft. Although I don't think they're tweaking them from this point any further. This is from the resurvey, which was 2024, the actual work. Let's see, I'm just checking the recommendation is down here. Okay, the carriage house is recommended as contributing. In terms of design, truly that is up to the commission. But is your question asking more about what the standards say?
I guess where I'm leading with my question is if we were assessing this building as if it were not demolished, because essentially what we voted on about the illegal demolition was that it shouldn't have been done and we would be treating this differently. I guess for me, as a commissioner, I think it had been contributing because it was vernacular and very minimally altered, that changes my level of acceptability to what it will be rebuilt as. Other commissioners can have different opinions, but that's where I'm at with that. That changes the game for me a little bit.
I do think it's a really good point to, like, we have this fresh resurvey right before it was demolished. It was assessed to be contributing to the district, so I think that is definitely something to take into consideration. But ultimately, it's up to the commissioner to interpret, you know, how that design should look. So that is up to the commission, but.
Yeah, I would also like to raise though that I am looking at section 122.352, the non-conforming structures, paragraph D. And it talks about restoring historic structures that were legal non-conforming structures that have been destroyed or abandoned. And it says, and I quote, "The approved design of the restored building maintains, the planning commission has to find all the following. All the following. The approved design of the restored building maintains the same design and historic character it had prior to the destruction or abandonment. Or in the case if the building had been altered prior to destruction or abandonment, that the restored building more closely parallels the design of the original historic structure." That's black and white in our document. I realize that we're not in charge of the zoning code, but I would like to give the applicant clear instructions. And that to me says that there's a certain matching that must go on. Now, if there's further discussion, there may be further discussion because I honestly don't believe everybody's take is on the same page.
Yes, so zoning says, so there could not, zoning says, zoning doesn't define what a historic structure is, but zoning says if a historic structure gets demolished, it needs to be put back in its
previous form?
Yes,
That's what it says to this reader.
I agree.
There's other requirements too.
So zoning is taking on
Right.
the role of the Historic District Commission.
So what do
I've
we
been
do?
saying for a long time
Right,
that
so-
our codes don't agree with each
Yeah.
other.
So what's our job here if they take care of this?
It's good to point out for the applicants, so they're not, so if there's gonna be a driver that trumps all others, then it's clear. Zoning would probably be one of those.
Well, to my knowledge, zoning also has, like, it accepts variances, and we can get Josh in here. Josh, it accepts variances for specific design elements of the historic district. So this is, but I'm not saying in all instances, I just know that it does allow variances.
Yeah, but variances are supposed to be subject to
Thank you.
hardness or undue burden. And
And I am
it's a
not,
really rough one for me to hear that it's an undue burden.
yeah.
Right.
So, question came up. Yes. Regarding zoning again.
Yes.
Who stated that question? I'm trying to remember.
Well, Chuck was on identified.
Yes.
Bit of,
Well, the question came up as to the look of the building. And there was some discussion as to whether, and that was a design element that was thrown out. However, section 122, 352, paragraph D on restoring of historic structures that have been abandoned and so on. I just read the paragraph and I don't know if I need to be reading it again, but it, among other things, says that the planning commission has to find that it maintains the same design and historic character. Are there some of those words subjective? Maybe so. If it has been altered, it has to move, if it has been altered since it was built in a non-historic way, it needs to then be restored more closely parallel the design of the original historic structure. The spirit of this paragraph is very clearly you have to rebuild it to the way it looks and looks.
Yeah, so ultimately, we don't know if this structure is non-conforming. I don't have.
It's over 15 feet to the midpoint.
It's over 15.
I can
feet
see
to
it.
the midpoint.
It's a story and a half and then half the roof.
Okay.
If you can walk in there, it's more than 15 feet all the way.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, I would need to have official confirmation of that, in order to make a full decision as to whether or not it is fully non-conforming. But if it is found to be non-conforming, then yes, it would need to, receive planning commission approval, for the reconstruction of that, structure. But the other thing is if they decide to do an accessory dwelling unit, then the maximum height is actually 25 feet. Or it's either 25 feet, but it cannot exceed the height of the house, but the house is over 25 feet in height. So it's not a big deal in that element. So if they decided to do an accessory dwelling unit, which I know there's also building code and whatnot that applies here, but if it's possible, then the height at the end of the day won't really matter.
Well, the owner said that they're not planning to make it a dwelling, so I don't think we need to overthink every possible reconstruction. It's just,
It's certainly not our job.
right, and the spirit of our ordinance is certainly clear that if something is taken down without a permit, that building, stripped of the legalities, needs to be replaced. Not a building, but that building.
Yeah.
I guess we're sort of make sure the applicant knows what they're trying to design.
Well, I mean, we're.
So it just seems like we're just gonna build it as close as possible and get it approved by you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah, the photo record is, pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I would point, if it's helpful for you, I would point to the 1981 photograph. That looks like it's the earliest one that we've done.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'll refer to it right now. Also, give me 1 second. You joining us or no? Tell him to join before the commission's over. One of our builders is actually going to be jumping on just in case. Let's see, refer back to 1981 photo.
If you're looking at the packet, it's on page 169, or no, 167, sorry.
67. I see it right here. Okay. Okay.
I can also do some more research to see earlier photos. I think that was the earliest, best photo I found. Here's one.
Yeah, earlier would be interesting only because even in 1981, it's still tired.
Yeah.
And you just can't, there's some details that I'm like, oh, what's actually happening there? Has that already been altered with those doors? Okay.
You joining us or what? Okay. Sorry, team. We're just waiting for him to join. Okay, I believe it might have been a miscommunication. I think he's unable to join. I sincerely apologize.
Okay. Well,
But I do have an idea of what to go into with this. And like I mentioned, we'll have something to present very soon. Carrie, of course, we're always going to keep in contact with you and get this ball rolling sooner than later.
Great, absolutely, yeah, and as you work through it and questions come back, I mean, feel free to come back in for another study session to answer specific questions, or in between meetings, Carrie can probably answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, no, she's been amazing.
Oh, good to hear.
And it sounds like we should include Josh in Kareem in our next meeting to make sure that in terms of the zoning requirements, everything you all are planning on, we're just all communicating and it makes sense in terms of what needs to happen.
Yeah, to keep him included even on your back-end conversations would probably be a good idea. It sounds like the seed is planted now, this thing is gonna circulate a bit, so I think keep that going, it's probably a good idea. Okay. All right, if you don't have anything else for us at the moment, let's call it good, right? You still there?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, well, if you have nothing else for us, have a good evening.
Yeah, should be all set, my friends. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for joining. Take care.
Thank you.
I know you stand, all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Graffiti wall. Is that where we're up to? Graffiti wall / solar panels, right?
I was thinking, maybe I should
I mean,
do that for the house.
throw it in there, yeah. Well, why don't you please join us where you can be amplified?
So sorry you all look so late. Our meetings don't go this long for Parks and Recs.
This will be an early one.
What?
We would choose otherwise, but here we are.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. I hope you got something done while you were waiting.
I did do some.
Anyway, welcome. Please share with us, I guess, what you're planning.
Yeah, so, there's graffiti tags here and there, downtown. I think that's a bit of a bummer. I think it's a bummer to see it. And then knowing that businesses have to pay a fine and then pay to remove it. And my proposal is not going to completely eliminate that. But my hope is that it would deter some of that and really just encourage people to use a designated space. Now, the designated space is still up for question, and I'm also looking into other spaces. But yeah, so benefits for Ypsilanti. It does contribute to historic preservation by not tagging the places that shouldn't be tagged. So diverting graffiti from those spaces. Again, I've already said these things, yeah. Adding to cultural vitality, encouraging that creative expression. We have a lot of artists here in Ypsilanti, and I believe that having a space to explore what muraling might be or a variety of forms. I don't imagine it would only be tagging, it would also have art. And then that would also create a positive space that would increase safety downtown. People might slow down and not drive as fast because they see something beautiful. And also, the tourism aspect of people wanting to come and see the work. It will always be evolving, take that selfie or whatever photo. And then, of course, that would hopefully bring more traffic downtown for the local businesses. And it would be low cost, being that, the artists would provide their materials and whatnot. I do believe that there would need to be some educating around it. I am an educator, so I understand having something new in a space does need that educational aspect, whether it's a placard of the typical rules or whether we create ornaments. I think that would be something to consider. I also would be a volunteer as well as another person on the Parks and Arts Commission to keep a lookout or just be aware of if there's inappropriate things that go up on the space, that we would quickly cover it, which isn't difficult to do. I could paint, some flowers or something simple. It's not hard. Or just cover it. There are other examples for art or graffiti walls alongside historic spaces. I know that there's a variety of ways that it can be done, and I'm open to considering. I know in Miami, with the Wynwood walls, I know that's more curated, but so there's, possibility for more curation. I think I updated my slides, but it's okay. Graffiti Alley in Ann Arbor is a lot of fun. I read that slide later. And just something to consider, having something of that nature. Carrie, to your point, this is a graffiti alley, but it's pretty curated. And I was just showing this in regards to it not going to the brick, but I do really see that concern because I've seen other examples where it does go to the brick. And I don't love the location that we as a commission proposed for various reasons, and especially if it's, got other things involved. So we would have a pilot location. The space that we were looking at in consideration, 17 North Washington, the rear facing the parking lot, which is like on my second slide. Carrie brought up that maybe the building was painted without permission, so I don't know what that would entail, if it can be, something that we could use, but so that would be a pilot proposal space. And, if there would be an opportunity to expand, I think that would be great. If we go to my last 10 and 11, well, you don't have those numbers, sorry. The last few slides, yeah. So also looking at other sites, I do believe between the pharmacy and then the Infinity Custom Printing site, that neither of those are brick. So I think that would be a really great option to consider. And then I have on the right, I know they're brick, they're painted, I don't know. I don't see that one as viable, but it would be a really nice location. Also, I don't know, Stewart Field didn't offer Ace Hardware. I assume he owns that building as well, but. And then the last slide, I don't love this option. I had just taken a photo of it because it's painted. And I'm gonna say, let's not consider that because I don't want the possibility of art going on, or people tagging Gary Horton's phenomenal. So my last item, call to action, I was just hoping we could consider endorsing a pilot illegal graffiti wall. Maybe these spaces could perhaps use some help identifying better spaces if I don't know if any of those are good. And then, just recognizing that it does create a safer space downtown when we see art and appreciate art. I have the hope that we see less crime and more respect for the space. That's all I have for now.
Well, thank you for that. I guess the first things that come to mind for me aren't so much about art painted on walls in the historic district. We approved murals, the Horton mural, I think it's right there, there's one photo you've got even. I just, things start coming to mind that are not necessarily related to the HTC itself, social, what does this do? Does this make people want to paint more, or tag things? And like you said, that one choice might not be so good because they might want to tag the nice mural on the other side there, the official one. I'm what does this invite? I'm but who's stopping them from doing it now? So there's all this stuff floating around in my head, wow, again, the idea of painting a mural downtown is something the commission has approved numerous times. So there's a good part of me that's this is a fine idea, but I wonder about all these other social parts that you brought up. Going back, I guess, to the historic district related stuff, yes, the concrete block is a better option than any of the brick because the brick is just far more delicate and even the painted stuff that's already been painted, I'm would we really want to put more on top of that? Probably not. It doesn't do the brick any favors either. Once it's painted, it's true that we'd rather not someone try to physically remove that paint because that, again, will probably damage the brick, but there's probably gentle ways you could remove it. So point being, I don't know that I want to add more paint to those situations. And it looked like you did have some options there that were concrete or CMU concrete block or something like that. And I think I would favor those options certainly more than others. And another thing you pointed out with that one alley there with the Horton mural across from it is that there's lots of other things on that wall that probably shouldn't be tagged. Like there's just so many openings and doorways and the stairwells, and maybe that might be fun. I guess if the building owner said so, maybe that's fine. But it seems like you've got a bigger, just open canvas that that would be quote safe to paint within reach, like not like that early example where you could easily paint outside the area that we just so desire. And I'm like, yeah, it would be good to have a wall that's taller than somebody, I guess. That was a good viable surface for that. But it sounded like you were sort of on the same page with that anyway. Yeah. So I just feel like I should reiterate though that those I think are important points. Other Commissioner comments?
I love the idea. Just me personally, other commissioners could have different opinions. On site considerations, I'm not saying that this is a viable site. Maybe you've looked into it, maybe you haven't. The alleyway between Depot Town Tattoo and Apple Annie's might be worth looking at specifically on the Depot Town Tattoo side, because that looks to be a very tall, with no fenestrations, concrete wall that I know already has been tagged.
Oh,
yes.
I saw like a parge coat on that wall. Like, what did they do? Like
I
concrete?
think there's a parge coat on it, because that, at least the lore that I've heard about that is that the building is missing because it was blown up with dynamite. I don't know how true that is, but given the use of that alleyway by the DDA, I think that would be a really interesting place for something like that. Yeah. Obviously getting permission from the building owner and that kind of thing, but I love the idea with the guardrails and the parameters that you've laid out.
It's a great idea, that space.
Another thing that had occurred to me was like, okay, so should there be, like, I know it's outside the scope of the artwork, but I'm like, well, should it be lit in some way in terms of to actually show that it's there and potential safety and whatever, and this alley is lit. So it's not just an alley, it's actually a very pedestrian frequented sort of space, whereas a lot of these alleys, not necessarily, and some of them actually are very active with drivers, so I don't know if you really want to be loitering in that space. But like, this is a pedestrian alley, so maybe that makes it a good option for those reasons.
Another thought that I had just reviewing this in its initial infancy is a potential option would be looking at getting a panel installed into a mortar joint that is designated specifically for this. Obviously, there's funding questions that come up with that, and that's a whole different conversation, but that is something that would be worth considering, in my opinion.
Once I get an Etch-a-Sketch, we shake it and clean it and start again. Sorry. It's late.
Yeah, so Depot Town, as someone who had a business for a short period of time downtown, I just really want there to be more love downtown, and that's why I didn't consider Depot Town.
Fair enough.
But I think it's totally valid. Like, I want a graffiti wall to happen. Just, you know, for my hope, again, is to see like the tagging not occur other places. I really love and appreciate art, but yeah, I just think that it could be done differently, even if people are just testing out how to spray paint and, you know, like learning and practicing their skill is super valuable. And it's just nice to have like a space that they're allowed to practice, you know? And then being next to the tattoo parlor is kind of super cool because, you know, maybe they'll want to throw a tattoo design on the wall for fun and once in a while, or something.
Or someone walks into the parlor and says, I want that up on the wall right there.
Yes.
So we could sit here and talk about art for a long time, at least I could. I'm also conscious of the fact that there are other ways of enjoying the city, showing it some love, and not painting its walls. There's a particular artist, his name is Isaac Cordell. And he has been doing interventions in cities for 25 years, maybe, none of which are permanent, all of which are highly impactful. I strongly urge you to look him up. There are others who do similar things as a result. Somebody named Slinkachu. And locally, David Zen. There are ways of making people look at the built environment around us without spray painting it. And if really what you're talking about is working within the city limits and showing the city some love, as you said, and people who are creative types, one would think they could be creative in many ways. It's just a thought. And maybe if some of these were non-permanent, the fact that you were considering having a wall that's going to be non-permanent because once one artist paints on it, then it's destined to get covered. Maybe there are other ways that you can foster that non-permanence that also doesn't include painting the wall. So as I say, look up these guys and see if it does something for you, and maybe there are other ways of encouraging people to do this and celebrating the city.
Some of the demo, the photos of sites that you've included, are those just things you've visually seen around town that seem appealing to you in some way, or have you spoke with any owners and have any idea if they have any interest in any of that?
The main first proposed site, we do have permission for 17 North Washington. No, I don't know the business owners of at least the pharmacy.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But I believe that we could figure it out within the city.
I mean, it seems like there could be potential for something here, as we talked about some of the parameters, trying to find an appropriate surface and that kind of thing. Yeah, I think there's some potential there, and maybe if you get to the point where you're speaking with owners, maybe that'll actually affect something about how you're approaching it too. Probably maybe you start talking to them and then they'll either say, "There's no way you're gonna do anything like that on any of my buildings," or maybe you know what I mean. There's a possibility that this could steer your project in a new direction too. I think if you wanted to now understanding some of the concerns here, I think if you maybe take that and try to find some examples out there that maybe sort of take into account some of these things, and then bring them back around, bring viable examples back around, I think I might be able to take this somewhere. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, now I keep thinking about other alleys that I'm not thinking of.
I looked at quite a few, and there's like some where the opposing wall is not painted, and other things to consider in terms of that.
Right.
Yeah. If may too, I think also, and I forget who mentioned this, but like another consideration too is like talking to DPW about like blocking some of those alley, like if people are there, pedestrians are there, and making sure that's a conversation with whatever space is being proposed. Because I don't know, I'm not sure what DPW would have to say about it, like if there need to be some like barriers for safety concerns.
Yeah, and actually an example of the one at that pharmacy, I think it's just the way that photo's taken. It makes the alleyway like a lot wider than it really is, I feel like. And I've been a pedestrian on that sidewalk, because that's the one that's always got that permanently installed sign there that says honk as you cross
Yeah.
the sidewalk. So just being on the sidewalk over there is a little challenging. So, yeah, so there's a, you know, it's, so in the pictures that you've got, there's a wide variety of, how busy any of these are, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no vehicular traffic in some of these, and there is on others. And some are good candidates in some ways, maybe, but yeah, maybe not in others. So it's, yeah, I think finding good candidates could be the trick here.
Yeah, one other candidate I didn't photograph for some reason. I was, anyway, it's the corner store, right downtown off of South Washington and the corner of Black Lives Matter Boulevard. The corner store, it's like the one side of the wall is like an orange, and I'm pretty sure it's not brick. Sorry, I didn't take a photo.
Oh, is that behind like?
That's by the, you talking about the liquor
Thrift
store?
store?
Yeah, the liquor store.
Oh.
The farmer's market.
Yes, right.
Farmer's
Yeah.
market.
Oh,
Yeah.
that one. I think meant the thrift store.
So part of my
What's the address?
thought is like,
The address for that location, sorry, it's just.
Oh, no, 13 South Washington is what it comes up as.
I thought school was thrown that way.
no, I'm sorry, my confused.
Oh, the other.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I thought maybe the alley that's right outside. the-
Yeah, so like on the other side though, I wouldn't, of course, want to interfere with the farmer's market, but I did notice Black, I know them, obviously.
Yes.
But yeah, over the cooler.
This where you're talking about?
Yeah, I guess there's brick next to it, so that could be a concern. But yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
reason I think about downtown and this area again is just like to kind of reduce the idea of any unwanted activity. I know this year has been better, but there's been just a lot of activity in general. So more art. Maybe I just propose a mural instead. You know, have a call. But yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. Glad somebody's thinking about these things.
Yes. There's brick next to it though, so I don't think it works. But anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.
Come back again.
I'll work on coming back. Yeah. Yeah.
As you look at places too.
Thank you. Yes, I've got a big event on Saturday if anyone's interested in coming by. Yeah, we've been working on an event called Southside Stroll in Leeward. Chuck's hosting artists as well. So anyway, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming in.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move now to other business. There's other business. Other business, but still HTC business. There's property monitoring is the first section here. I noticed Carrie's got the property monitoring document prepared for us to review.
Yes, just some quick updates. I think I can talk loud enough,
I
but,
feel like I hear you in the speakers. So maybe you're
Okay.
getting picked up.
yeah, I wasn't sure. So, last month, the commission had asked about 130 North Huron. I went by, admittedly, later in the month, but I did not see any, from the right of way, I couldn't see any activity going on with the blocks. I did see like a pile of, I couldn't tell if it was gravel or sand in parking lot, but I couldn't see any.
So it's down sort of straight, maybe
Basic
to the right
piece.
edge of the lot, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
maybe
the
I went
blocks are no
by
longer there.
too late. Not on August 4th.
I think
It was cleaned up walking home from the meeting that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
and probably possibly visible from Riverside Park.
I wondered that,
It looked like a
yes.
retaining wall, I mean, it would have been approvable, it would just be nice to
Yeah,
approve it.
I can look into it from the park side.
Hired a drone, HTC drone.
Yeah, where's
It's really funny.
Where's that coming?
So yeah, I got on my list to check back in. Then there were, some other properties, I was trying to divvy up my list that I, inherited for enforcement and try to go in sections. So I went to several on North Huron, and I also have, just from strolling, found a couple things and had a few more, enforcement items brought to my attention this month. So I am working on those letters. Some other things have come up in the last week, so that was kind of pushed aside, but I am following up on that, and I want to get those letters out so that there's time to respond before any enforcement happens, when I hopefully become sworn in September. So,
Before we get into,
yes.
because I think it's gonna be a bigger discussion, to offer property monitoring, it looks like the keg has been hit by a car.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
did see
not
that. Yes.
on your list.
Thank you.
Which side?
It is.
Parking lot.
The side where the slow cars are, not the one on the
Yeah,
fast
it's
street.
got
It's the
quite a
slow
hole right by the entrance.
side. It's what bumper stops take.
Because I did notice that their sign had fallen down. the metal sign.
Oh, I think that's.
Maybe got hit on the way.
Somebody coming in to get more.
No, I think it rusted out and fell over and.
So, but if that is not already on your list, I would add it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can't miss it.
Anything else? Or,
Sorry to interrupt you.
no, you're fine. I was just curious if anyone else noticed things.
The usual,
Follow
DO2, East Cross is still.
Yep, okay, yep. That's somewhere I went.
Yep.
Give me a second, I'll give you.
I had emailed Terry at one point about 210 North Washington. That's where the demolition of the, whatchamacallit building is, where the Avalon building is going.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had heard from somebody that I seemed trustworthy, that they were demolishing that and the outbuildings that they were supposed to keep.
They're still there.
And they are still there, yeah.
Well,
I got a panic note from somebody, and like, I talked to the guys there, and they said that they're coming down. I'm like, what?
Due diligence.
I
Send you
know
up here.
I know you talked to her, and I talked to her later, and she said that she had then talked to somebody who was working on the site. Said, don't worry, we understand, we're gonna take good care of them, they're gonna look better than ever. So, there you go.
Completed the circle.
Good, all right, very good.
So there's also 306 South Huron, which has a garage in the south west corner of the property that appears to, could be the same structure on the 1916 Sanborn. It's had 2 holes in the roof now since I've lived in the city.
That house?
And I've mentioned it in the abstract before.
Is it back here? Is that what I'm
Straight back.
looking at there?
Where,
Sorry.
I think on the other side, you can see it.
yeah, actually, it's
Oh,
really
because
hard to see
there's
because
the
of the trees.
You can't see much of it, but
Okay,
I think you can see.
Yeah,
it's
there are 2 of them side by side.
and this one
And
in the foreground?
The trailer. or
yeah,
something?
the one that has the tarp on the roof.
Oh, that,
That makes sense.
that's a,
Okay,
I don't know if it's the 1916 building, but it'd be interesting to find out. In any case, I mean, it goes to the next subject, right?
Yeah.
Is it safe?
yes. Okay, well, I added that to my list, thank you. Anyone else?
I,
Sorry, I have one more, and I just don't remember the address. Give me a second.
and here I also.
That's down the road for me.
What is this? Oh, are those trailers? Those are trailers, okay.
I can't tell the address. It looks like it might be 513 North Washington. It's on the corner of Washington and Arcade, kind of where.
Oh, yeah.
I know that that has recently been sold. There are some major structural things going on with that building, and they have contractors there.
Yes.
So.
I know about it. I can give you a quick update.
Sure. In case you
Wait,
didn't know.
so
Yeah.
just to clarify though, when you say contractors, people are doing work or people are inspecting the property?
Unclear.
Okay, I will follow up, but essentially, and I think, yeah. So I had been contacted by the new owner of this property, and they bought it sight unseen. They did not know, apparently it wasn't disclosed that, one, it was in the historic district, two, there were structural issues. And so they contacted me asking if they could demolish the building to put up a kit home. I said,
yes, I mean, no.
no. I talked with them and then the realtor and all that to say, I told them the next step is to get a structural engineer's report, because like we can't, and that would need to come to the commission. And if they really do think that the building needs to be demolished, then I provided them the demolition application. Cool. So, but I was like, but nothing can happen. Even if the structural engineer's report says, yes, this building needs to be demolished, it would need to come before the commission first. So they're clearing that.
Okay.
And I plan to follow up. I just spoke with them Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
And I've been speaking with them.
Okay, I wanted to let you, we've been walking past that for 4 years, and
Okay.
we recognize that that building is in rough shape.
Yes.
So it's unsurprising that I know from experience, I've reported during property monitoring several houses in that part of the district, because it seems to be a gray area where people don't know, and enough of the houses have been altered where it's kind of unclear. So I just wanted to make sure that you have been.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll just also add, like, I have a list of enforcement. If you all have lists that you've compiled, just to make sure I have everything, I guess I can also look back in minutes too.
Yeah.
And make sure I have everything, but feel free to send those my way, just so I've got a complete set of properties to address. So yeah, I can keep you updated on that. If I get any report and there's any sort of emergency situation, that's a whole, that
Whole different
sets
ballgame.
things into.
Yeah, but I just, having seen the activity there,
Yeah, thank you.
like this week.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know if.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
People know about that, so. Sorry.
No,
That's good.
Okay, if there aren't others from commissioners, we can continue through the list here. I see it's 1418 West Michigan condemned Hobbs building.
Yes, it is. So, and
I don't know if you all know this, but I am the city's dangerous building officer.
Oh, did not know that.
And as such, I will not be participating in this conversation because I will be wearing two different hats. So
Okay. Dangerous building officer.
I guess in general, I could go sit over there and answer questions as the dangerous building officer.
Well, I don't see we need to do anything until they come to us to say we want to dig out, do some work. Just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking this as notification of what's going on.
yeah.
The scope of the problem isn't known.
yeah,
Completely.
that's where we're at. It's
That's where we
a
are.
moving,
It's a moving
It's
building, it's a
fluid
moving.
in more than one ways right now.
It's on an aquifer.
And I am going to keep the commission up to date as I receive information. But that is, just today, they were doing a dye test to see where water is going at 1418. I don't believe I included this in this update, but this is something I also received today. And I don't want to get into it because a lot of this letter references some things that have not been substantiated yet. But essentially, we know that 12 West Michigan has also been affected to an extent, and we're trying to figure that out as well. So we know that there has been serious movement in the building, some movement in 12 West Michigan, and they are required by the building department to submit structural, stabilization plans by September 3rd. So my next step will be, he'll need to submit an application, for that work. And
So engineers are doing their thing, or will be doing their thing
Yes.
shortly.
yeah, we have one report.
Yeah.
We're expecting another.
Uh-huh.
And there's also in all of this, there are some, the issue seems to be water, essentially, as it usually is. But
Killer.
issues with plumbing and work that has not been permitted. So we're sorting all that out. And I don't really want to say more than we can actually substantiate right now. And a lot of what we're receiving is secondhand. So, and
Okay. We will learn more, I guess, as the truth comes out.
Yes. Yeah, and I will try to update you real time on that where it makes sense. Obviously lots coming in right now, but
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Good to know. I think that's all we can do with it right now. It sounds
Yep.
like.
I'll be working with Chuck on this.
Where else do we go here? Is that it for property monitoring? I think so, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. That's that sentence. That's that paragraph. There's the unsafe building and the pictures. Okay. So then staff updates. I guess that's where we're up to.
Just a quick update that 108 Buffalo, because I know it was in last meeting, it was postponed. I'm working with that contractor on his plan. He signed an extension letter, so we are working on that. So you can expect that for next month's meeting. The resurvey, that is wrapping up. Let me see. Yeah, that is wrapping up officially this month, and I'm going to be sending mailings out to all the property owners within the historic district with their individual, architectural property identification form. But then also take advantage of the opportunity to kind of maybe send them some other more relevant info, remind them of tax credits and those types of
And
things.
for some, it'll be the first time they're learning that they're in the historic district, I'm sure.
Right, that too. Yeah, which is another, I did not include this in an update, but I'm aware there needs to, I need to catch up on, I think it's done quarterly, but.
Sale.
Yeah, getting a hold of new homeowners in the district. I would like to do that more often than quarterly, because a lot of work happens in the first few months and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out with our software if there's a way that I can real time get updates on sales within historic districts. So that's something in September, we have our, the person that's contracted for advising us with the software. They're coming in September and I have a long list of things to talk to them about. Let's see, I wanted to update you all on the Penn Dam removal, the Section 106 application. This is, and I can provide this to you if you're interested in reading it. But it is a working draft at this point, and I've been waiting for the second iteration of the draft to send it out to you. I wouldn't want to send you something that, you know, we're not even ready to send a SHPO, if that makes sense. So, but in their first draft, the consultants who are undertaking the Section 106 work for above ground and below ground, their findings and their review of the past study committee's report on the proposed historic district for, you know, the dam, the powerhouse, the sign. Their finding was that it is not eligible. And in this instance, they weren't considering the dam, they were just considering the sign and the powerhouse, because we know the dam's coming out. That was a little surprising to me based on their research. So and there was one thing that was not clear to me, which was when you consider significance, how big of a scope are you looking at? And you have to define that to be able to substantiate your reasoning as to why it's not significant. And they were comparing to like architecturally to buildings in Detroit. And so anyways, we had a meeting and I gave my feedback on the draft. And I also advised that they talk to White Jeff, because it sounds from the report like they had talked to YHS, but White Jeff has been the one that's been fundamentally a part of this. Yeah. So, so they did reach out like that same day, or at least the following business day. And I don't know how that conversation is going, other than Paul Schreiber and Stevenson were just letting me know they reached out to them. So I know they're in contact, and just wanted you all to know, because there are obviously implications with what happens with that building. Of course, a finding that they're not eligible doesn't mean that it's demoed, but it makes it a lot easier. There's just a lot of things to consider.
I'm really surprised at that, only because the previous study committee went through all this, I thought already.
Well, and when they submitted, when the study committee, are you talking about the 2008 or 9 report? So SHPO's response to that report was more information is needed to make a recommendation on eligibility. So, and there was more research going on, but there was not another official report to be considered by SHPO. So this is the next
this would be
report that is being considered.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like they're providing relevant info then? I mean,
yeah, that was my feedback, essentially. They gave a really compelling history, and then the findings seemed disjointed from history.
Who gave the compelling history?
GEI Consultants. They have a couple architectural historians working on the above ground stuff. They definitely added more to the history of that property and the context than was provided in the 2008 report.
Okay.
So that's good. I found that really helpful.
Is that in writing somewhere?
The report?
The additional information that this company, the compelling history.
Oh, that's just my.
They didn't write it down anywhere.
No. That's just when I read I personally read that, then I got to the finding and I was surprised with the finding. I guess is what I want to communicate. Yeah. Yeah, but they were very receptive. They suggest, I would say they were very receptive, and they indicated that they are changing their draft. It may be not the finding, but they definitely consider all the comments that are provided, so.
Okay.
I'll keep you updated on that.
Has there been any follow-up on the, I'm not gonna remember the address, the new home infill on Norris?
Oh, 620 Norris?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's 620.
what did he contact? It seems to be going fine.
Okay, because I think he's been regularly showing up. didn't this time around, now that we have them every month.
Yeah.
That's a
He-
significant amount of time.
You know what, the last time he contacted me was just checking in about the foundation finish.
Okay.
And I had communicated that from the last meeting, the specific motion was to not have the faux brick, design on the foundation, the texture. And it sounds like his builder, like, may not offer another option, so he's looking into parging it.
Okay.
Sorry.
So,
It's not an option in the catalog.
He only has forms with bricks on.
Oh, you know, I can fill it in, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Or borrow.
Parge code, fill it in. All right, anyway, I just thought I'd ask about
Yeah.
it because.
as far as I know, he's good to go with building and.
Yeah, they've got that site all staked out.
Yeah, it's great. And
Oh, wow.
I haven't been by it, okay.
got
I'll take
someone.
Okay. I know commissioners haven't had much opportunity to speak tonight, so if you have anything to say, now's your time.
Just because I don't know if this is the proper part of the agenda to do this in, because it's not minutes for, we're not approving the minutes for this meeting. I noticed a typo in the agenda, only because it was on my agenda item. Where in the staff review, you say the proposed work would take place on the south elevation, which is visible from North River. River should be here on, because we are not on.
Oh,
River
really?
Street.
Yeah, okay,
And
thank
the
you.
photos say view from North River.
Oh, is it really? I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I didn't want it to be confusing for the record.
Thank you.
Carrie, are you able to download the photographs off of the email I sent to you? It's marked DE.
Yeah, and I saw that come in. I have not looked into this, but I heard, well, I mean, but I mentioned, because I had it pulled up on my screen. Oh my gosh, Josh is doing a little work. Hold on. Let me scroll down there, okay. So there had been an amendment, and you all would know better than I have not looked into it yet, but I can follow up on this. You're saying, what I'm assuming you're saying is that the porches that exist are not what were approved?
Possibly, I wasn't
Okay.
there. I just, so if you could throw
Let me see if I
one,
can.
throw them up in order. So I happen to
Is
be
that a
able
Windows computer?
So
You might not be able to download them because they're HEIC files.
Oh, they are, yeah, I'm not able to.
So you can't show.
No, I can't view them, but I can on my phone, like I saw them
I
on
can
my.
do it on my screen.
Yeah, special view.
Yeah, essentially they're, because we had, and I can pull up the plans I sent, let's see.
So you can look at, I mean, you probably all know what is there. You can come over and take a look. I can move.
I haven't seen what's currently there.
So I went over there and I said, and I saw this and I said, why doesn't that look like all of the porches that we have been asking of Stuart Beal and others to provide? And I asked myself why was that the case? From the materials, and so I saw them, and you can zoom in on these easier if they're on a big screen. Is that what, there were three of you, Stefan, Alex, and James, who approved this on August 9th of 22. I looked up the approvals, and so, and this doesn't do this seamlessly. Where'd it go? This was what was submitted by their architect. And so there's that condition is bigger, that's turned, all of their marketing material shows these as turned. All of the marketing materials shows brackets. I don't see any of those in this photograph, so I'm asking, is that what you approved?
Rail height in the drawings
Is lower.
definitely not.
Is lower?
Yeah, it's definitely not code, so.
So if you, and then of course my antenna goes up and I look at more details. This gable is called out on their drawings from that same day as 4-inch vertical siding. That's,
I can't see that it's, oh,
that's not 4-inch vertical siding. Did all of these changes get approved? I wasn't in the room.
At this
But I
point,
just
you
would-
probably know better than what I approved than I do.
yeah.
What was that?
At this point, you probably know better than what I approved than I do. You looking at all the history.
And then you just, of course, you start looking around. See this guy? That's permanent.
That's what?
Permanent. Doesn't go anywhere else. So they're all over the place. These sonotubes. See?
Oh.
That's done.
What the heck?
I don't know what, I mean, maybe there's something else that I'm not considering.
What does
but
that even hold?
Missed it, just a couple
There's
inches
a
off.
crossing beam right there. See it? This pair of beams.
Yeah, and just barely made the
And
other.
they just barely made it.
Painted black.
So it's a question on my part. This happens, I walked a couple of the buildings. It happens 3-4 times, 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know.
Somebody speak.
This is not beadboard. That is vinyl. That is not a beam more than 3 inches deep.
So this seems to be an approval for amendments. Hold on.
I remember something about the beam board.
Color,
No, like an alternate material.
aluminum.
It kind of goes, I mean, it's a question. Was there another process that I didn't come upon in August or in September of 22?
Well, none of that stuff is framed out. I mean, there's a lot of details that are just not.
You could consider it that way.
So the thing with any of these, right, any new infill construction or whatever, we approve stuff, we're approving a lot of details, right? And there's a million different details in there. Have we ever really followed up on any of them?
Yeah, the drawings, right? Like, I don't know that we would have gone back and said, okay, yeah, we're approving your application, but you can change these posts from turn to not turn. You can change this from this to this. I don't think that's not something we approve instead of drawing.
We also wouldn't have given staff administrative.
I mean, as I say, the turn posts and the brackets are in all of their marketing renderings.
Here it is. This is November 2024.
November 2024.
Yeah.
So there was
For an
a change,
amendment.
An update, yeah.
Yeah, and what was that?
Handrails, balusters, posts, and caps change from traditional turn posts to treated 4x4 balusters and columns wrapped in white LP trim handrail system, stained white. Porch decking, 1x4 treated pine, ton, and groove, painted, yeah. Porch steps.
Beadboard ceiling?
There's something with the ceiling. Oh, wait a minute, no, that's soffits. I'm looking up there.
Yeah, soffits.
That's soffit, but.
And I can look into this more too.
So, I mean, if that's sort of been, again, it's a context thing for me. I don't recall, am I on the board in November 24? I don't remember, but
The website.
in my sort of newness to it, if I was, I wouldn't have realized what was happening here. Because I didn't, at that point, didn't have all of the rules of each sort of category down. Rules which I may quibble with at times, but at the same time, they're written down black and white. People are supposed to be following it. We're using that same cudgel to hit Mr. Beal when he's doing his porch, which we just did.
No, well, we should definitely take those photos and pull together stuff that you were just doing, those amendments, I think are important. Because I know there were some changes that came later with materials. And I don't know if there's any more than just that one, but there might have been.
But it's also sort of a little bit, to kind of go through and do all of these drawings, and then at the very last minute, it's like, we're gonna just describe these things, and it's much harder than to appreciate just what you changed.
Right. You approved something that included these drawings, and then when they update them, it's a list of things.
It's a list of things and they're just words on a page at that point. And it starts to become more abstract and it's easy to basically give away the story.
I think where you're headed is if a list of amendment comes in, especially if it's substantial, they need to resubmit a drawing package that represents those changes. I think that's a valid request.
I do sometimes believe in drawings, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know you do.
So, again, I just happen to be nearby.
I'm gotcha. Well, that's a good thought.
If I may, this is something I have thought about too, which, there's enforcement of, there's property monitoring, but then in terms of project monitoring, there's really nothing. It's really just you catch whatever gets noticed and maybe not. And how do you enforce that? And that's something I have been trying to figure out, if there's a way to set, like, okay, within 6 months, the permit expires. Is there a way to check in? I mean, this would be on my end at 5 months. Hey, how's the project going? But, and maybe it just needs to be that, but,
In other historic districts, at the end of a project, the project is visited and a certificate of compliance is issued. That a certificate of, what do they call it?
Occupancy?
No, they view it from a historic perspective.
Yeah.
That you basically build, you said you were gonna build.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Yeah, I guess it's slightly different than what we.
Yes.
And some terminology differences to what we offer at the beginning of a project. And, if you say you're gonna build a 2-story building and then you build a 3-story building, they're gonna catch it.
Right.
Yeah.
In theory.
I feel like there's details on almost every project that probably don't quite come out the way they thought when they brought in the drawings. Any project almost. That's my guess.
Stuff happens.
Well, in the field, things happen, I
Stuff
get it,
happens.
yes.
But.
And I'm not saying it's right.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, a project of that size and scale and that community impact, I think, deserves more scrutiny, and especially features like the porch, the front porch, thing that you said is on all their literature.
The thing that they focused on very highly.
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to mention that for you all to know that's something I'm thinking about, and I know that it is a requirement in there's follow-up enforcement in other historic districts, and that's not, we don't have anything in our ordinance requiring that at the moment. But I can at least follow up at 5 months, check in with the project. That's like a very basic measure I can do. But that's something I'm going to be researching a little bit more to see or something. Because also just in terms of records too, like what was done. We don't have photos.
Yeah.
Then.
Does the building department require resubmissions for a certain level of substantial change? Because what should be happening in the construction process and the construction administration is the architect is updating documents for anything that changes design intent.
Right.
And then give it to the contractors, get repriced. So there should be an ongoing set of documents that's constantly getting updated that they should have available at any given time.
Yeah, that's correct. I think there's just enough difference in what the building department oversees and what the HGC oversees that maybe some things get, I guess I'd also say too, is like, if there's no visual record, which a lot of those, like, there might be a written record of some changes, but just having a visual record of the final product.
It should be like clouded on the drawings with the change and then all those clouds.
Right.
So it should be very easy to pick up on a change, like if it goes from a turn post to a square, clouded on the drawing. I just don't know.
I'll talk to Jerry about that, because I look at the building department stuff, but I don't know enough about their process to know what all they're required to, where they store those,
some building departments want to require like something that impacts life safety, for example, to come in. So they might not have the contractor shows up. The right document.
Okay, any other commissioner comments before we move on? Okay. This point, we're supposed to move on to public comment. I don't see anybody in front of us. Is there anybody left out there in Zoom land? Josh was like,
Not raising his hand.
He's waiting for you.
yeah. All right then, we have minutes. Draft minutes at least.
Motion to approve the minute.
Excellent. All in favor?
I have something, it's my mistake, I'm so sorry.
Guys are not fast enough.
I'm so sorry. It is my mistake. 15 West Michigan. Let me go there, let's see. I put the wrong motion in, which is critical. Yeah, this needs to be moved to table. And I had approved, so. The letter does not say that.
Okay.
So that needs
Motion
to
to
change.
approve as amended.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries.
Yeah.
So we've addressed everything on our agenda this evening,
Except for
except
the-
for one more thing.
Except for the additional item for the amended annual agenda.
Oh, the location of the
Right.
meetings. Move to alter the meeting locations to this building.
Second.
Huh?
I think I described it, but.
Yeah, the last, today's meeting was said to be at the senior center, as is next month's. Okay, so does it?
All right, so just articulate what you're saying, what the change is gonna be, so we have an all understanding.
Set the annual meeting agenda to reflect that August and September's meetings will be held at Spark East.
And December.
And December, thank you. I'm not looking at it. Just remembering it.
The meeting schedule.
Got it. That sounded articulate. I like that one. I like that.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And now,
Motion to adjourn.
I have the power to just do it. I hereby close the adjourned.
Well,
Thank you all.
Apparently, we're missing a thunderstorm.